But we can allude.
Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the April meeting of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. We do have a quorum. Before we start, I have a sad announcement that Gene Ward, who represented Waikīkī and our neighboring areas of Waikīkī, has passed. And I would like a moment of silence for Representative Gene Ward, who spent 30 years of his life representing us. Thank you, everyone. First on our agenda would be the Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening. Captain Keone Abaya, Waikīkī Fire Station. Statistics for March include 2 structure fires, 1 nuisance call, 1 cooking fire, 12 activated alarms with no fire, 194 medical emergencies, 2 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 6 motor vehicle crash collisions. That's for March. As far as the safety tip for April, it has to do with evacuation planning. So ensure you have emergency preparedness plan in place for situations like environmental emergencies, fires, or natural disasters. Familiarize yourself with at least 2 escape routes from your home and plan an evacuation path if you leave your neighborhood due to an emergency. Leave early to avoid getting trapped by fire, smoke, or traffic delays. Set up predetermined meeting spot like a trusted neighbor or relative's home, a low-risk area, shelter, or evacuation center. Bring your emergency supply kit with essential items for your family and pets. For more information, please visit fire.honolulu.gov. Any questions?
Questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Yes. Please use the microphone over there.
Chair, may I make a statement before we start about 2.5 minutes?
For your information, in the header of our agenda, comments are limited to 2.5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Am I on? You can hear me okay? Okay. It's been long understood, and probably in some statute or something, that in the case of an emergency, people sequester on the 4th floor and above. And I hope that you'll add that into all of your suggestions for extreme weather conditions, hurricanes, tsunamis, and all of the other things that you're suggesting, because that is not been given out in a very strong way so that you don't have a panic in the streets, things like that. Thanks.
Any other questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? I see nothing. Thank you for being with us tonight. Next, we have the Honolulu Police Department. Lieutenant, welcome.
Hi, good evening, board. Good evening, community members. My name's Steve Keogh. I'm with the Honolulu Police Department. I work here in Waikīkī for nighttime patrol operations. With me is Lieutenant Steve Ono. He handles daytime patrol operations. I'll read to the board and to the members of the community the stats that we want to report for the month of March. For the month of March, we had 4 robberies. The previous month, we had 1. Burglaries for the month of March, we had 10. The previous was 3. Thefts, we had 128. Previous was 42. UEMVs, 14. for the month of March. Previous was 4. Assaults, we had 23 assaults for the month of March. For the month of February, there was 7. Sex crimes, we had 7. Previous was 0. Speeding citations given 3. The previous month was 1. Parking citations that were given for the month of March, 2,278 parking citations. The previous month was 1,778. Park closure statistics, 85 criminal citations were issued for park closure and 20 arrests were made. The previous month, we gave 63 citations with 4 arrests. Loud mufflers, there was 1 citation given and 1 citation the previous month. Total calls for service that officers responded to in Waikīkī for the month of March, 3,285 calls. 3,285. That was up from the month of February at 2,876. That concludes the stats. Sure. We always have robust questions and answers, so we'll get to it.
Okay, Catherine, you had? It's on.
Hi, I had a rather exciting phone call that arrived from a private number today, telling me it was from the police department and claiming that I had missed my jury duty, which I knew I had not. I informed the gentleman that I didn't miss any jury duty. He then informed me he had to get his supervisor, who was downtown at the police department. So he put on a gentleman who introduced himself as Abdul Abracadabra with a West African accent. And he started to badger me why I had not shown up. And I said, I'm not talking to you. You're not the police department. I'm right down here. I'm at the police hall right now in downtown. And I started laughing. And that infuriated him and I hung up. I then called the police department and spoke to a lovely young officer. And she said, do you want a police officer to come over? Do you want us to call you? And I said, what good would it do? She asked, did you give him any information? And I said, no. And she said, please, tell people about what happened. So I'm telling everybody out there tonight, I've seen it on the news, but it happened to me. So it can happen to your neighbors, anybody you know. They were very, very insistent. And I had a ball.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. In addition to those type of calls, the police department has been made aware by community members that people are being called and told that they missed court and they have outstanding warrants and they need to make a payment to clear up the warrant. We actually have those scammers going through the website and claiming to be HPD leadership when they call, because obviously there's names that the public has access to for transparency. So we're aware of that. And let's just remind all the friends here tonight, at no time is the Honolulu Police Department going to call you and request that you make any type of financial payment to fix something. That's never going to happen. So keep your guard up with that. The board member also said something very important. She did not, the goal of this is to not only attain money, it's also to attain personal information. You guys probably know this pro tip. You're not going to give out your social security number. You're not going to give out your driver's license number to anybody over the phone that you've never met. And if there's any questions, hang up, call 911, and we're happy to clarify that for you. If in the unfortunate event that you or your loved ones gives out that type of confidential information, then we definitely want to generate a police report to document that. Okay? Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that.
John, you're next.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for taking the time to come today. No, we were given your report. It was pretty worrying to hear some of the upticks in crimes being reported in Waikīkī, but, absent, explicitly from your report was the incident that happened at the corner of Lures and Kalakaua over 2 weeks ago, where you basically had a mini street battle with various youths essentially going after each other. And there was even gunshot fired that impacted a neighboring store. One of the things that the police department got dinged on was not having, a good communications response to what was going on. So, it's pretty unfortunate that you weren't able to come and have something off the cuff to say about that. My first question would be, do you have anything to add how that investigation is going on? And my second comment is, I've come to these meetings, going on 4 years now, and every month I think I'm advocating for community policing, police foot patrols, right? And I think this incident goes to show that we need that 24/7, 365 on the ground police foot patrols, a couple of officers walking Kalakaua, Kuhio, going up and down the side streets, going up and down Alawai Canal, right? Because, it's not something as extreme as, the shooting and brawl that we saw a couple weeks ago. It's the little indignities, everyday life. It's the jaywalkers who, are putting themselves and motorists at risk for crash. It's, the people who are just defecating on the streets, throwing trash everywhere, where, citizens, we walk around and, we get to a safe place where we can call, we turn around, the person's gone, we can't give you a good description. So please, this community is hungry, is ready to be more proactively engaged with an on-the-ground community policing solutions with police foot patrols. That's what we really need. That's what this community really wants. And I really hope to impress upon, the HPD leadership that will be watching this later, watching it now, and both of you, I'm glad you're here. Please take it back. We need 24/7, 365 foot patrols. Thank you.
Sure. Sure. Thank you for your comments. Just to share a couple of things, I was prepared to answer questions related to the shooting, but I didn't want to actually cover that in the statistics. I figured that with the individuals that come to this meeting month in and month out, yourself included, that I'm sure that was going to come up and we could have some discussion about that. A couple of things. I think Chief Joe, as the leader of this department, took accountability that he should have notified the public earlier. I think the department has already come out and stated that they probably could have done a better job notifying the public of what had happened. So let's get that out of the way. The good news here is the two juveniles that decided to shoot up Waikīkī, through the hard work of HPD investigations and partnerships with the community, both of the individuals involved in that have been arrested. And I think that's very important to state. The two individuals that created all that mayhem that could have, it's only by the grace of God that somebody didn't get shot. Only by the grace of God. I was off that night. When a friend of mine called me and told me what had happened, I actually thought that maybe they were misinformed, because at that evening, with what those young individuals decided to do, the fact that there wasn't some type of critical event where somebody perished was just unbelievable. But the takeaway for you, sir, is going to be that the two individuals that did that have been arrested, and they're going to obviously face the appropriate prosecution. As far as foot patrols, and I know that we've covered this, and your voices are being heard. A couple things that we are doing: 24/7 foot patrols. And I want to be very candid with you. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, and I don't want to tell you things that are not going to happen. 24/7 foot patrols are not going to happen at this moment. Now, with that said, are we aware that foot patrols can do something positive? 100%. So this is what's occurring. Based upon what you guys are giving us feedback, we have a community policing team that's made up of officers. Twice a week, the command for D6 has chosen to put them on pedal bikes twice a week. So they will be out in the community twice a week, and on foot, that's twice a week. In addition to that, I don't know if anybody here participates in the Citizens Patrol walk, but those officers that are going to be on foot and pedal bikes also do the walk. And then Command has also started doing direct enforcement, specifically related to the crimes regarding public health, public nuisances like drinking at the pavilions, loud mufflers, traffic violations. There have been projects implemented since the last time I talked with you folks where teams of officer, a sergeant, and about 5 officers are going to be on foot at some point doing proactive enforcement for the things you're speaking about. So I don't want you to think that every month you come here and we're not listening. We are, you're being heard, and we're happy to hear you. And we're trying to implement things that'll hopefully generate a good result. Fair enough?
Okay, John.
Hi, Lieutenant John Dutzman. How are you?
Oh, hi, John. Hi, sir.
I want to thank you and your shift for finally cleaning up McDonald's, which has gotten totally out of control. For those who don't get up at 4 a.m. like I do to check on things, there's people sleeping outside McDonald's, passing around giant bottles of vodka, causing disturbances. I don't blame you guys as much as I blame the McDonald's for not cooperating with you. And that's a McDonald's-owned business. It's not a franchise. And for the life of me, don't understand why McDonald's would run like a Skid Row operation outside the squeaky clean McDonald's brand, ruining their brand and our brand. But thank you. The last 3 or 4 nights, it's been completely clean. And I noticed also that our new homeless guy, Roy, is here. Just wanted to reiterate this because I bring it up almost every meeting. 73% of our arrests are for people who live on the streets here in Waikīkī. All of our repeat offenders, people who get arrested more than twice, they all live on the streets in Waikīkī. All of our major top problem people, dangerous, violent people, constantly getting arrested, they all live on the streets in Waikīkī. We had 49 people last time around in Safe and Sound declared mentally unfit to proceed in their trial. All 49 kicked out on the street again and again. One guy just got declared unfit for the 15th time, mentally unfit for trial today, and he'll be back on the street again. This mental health system here is a joke. The jail diversion thing does not work. And you guys are just, I mean, if all this went away, we wouldn't need 10 cops a shift in Waikīkī. Nobody understands the underlying problem with this homeless stuff. It's a problem in the only thing that seems to work here is tougher enforcement. The people who left the streets either got jammed up on felonies, they died, or they left on their own. Hardly anybody here has been fixed by outreach, and hardly anybody here who's been diverted. All of our jail diversion things to mental health have failed. Just want to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
John, thanks for your participation and always coming and sharing your thoughts. Let me first talk about the McDonald's. And for those of you that might not know, it's going to be the one right across from the beach on Kalakaua, not the one on Kokio. This is going to be the one directly across from the beach. Recently, for whatever reason, the homeless have been congregating and either leaning up against McDonald's structure or partially blocking the sidewalk, making some poor choices if they want to drink and they just want to cause a big problem. So I know on night patrol, we're aware of that. And John, thank you for that. We're taking proactive steps to work with the McDonald's management team there. And if we can take any type of criminal enforcement action against individuals that are doing this, we're happy to do it. I can actually think back to 2018, pre-COVID, that specific McDonald's along with Kohio used to hire police officers exclusively to work there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. Why do I know this? Because I occasionally did it. For whatever reason, they've segued away from that. I'm not here to give public commentary on that. But John, just to share with you, there used to be uniformed police presence in the McDonald's in Waikīkī. And for whatever reason, that's not there now. So we're on it, and we're gonna work with McDonald's management to hopefully ensure that this uptick of gathering and drinking and all kinds of stuff that nobody here wants to deal with stops. So thanks, John.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, thank you very much. My name's Lynn Wood. I live down the street. I just wanted to I just made an observation that there seems to be a huge focus on parking citations and traffic citations. And that's in the thousands and not so much, maybe with the criminal. And like Jacob said, that we need people 24/7 around the neighborhood. But I was wondering if we could maybe minimize the parking citations and the traffic citations, because there's a very good chance that most of those people are law-abiding citizens. And I'm wondering why the focus is on them and getting tickets and traffic tickets so much and not on the actual criminals. We need the focus to be on the criminals. We need that manpower to be on the criminals, not so much who's going to get a ticket. Thank you very much.
So regarding parking citations, my question to the team, the family here tonight, the friends would be, so if a community member calls in to report that cars are blocking fire hydrants, parked in a loading zone, parking out a stall, parking on a crosswalk, parking too close for the crosswalk, I just want to have an understanding here. Would we as a community be okay with the police taking zero enforcement action regarding those? Because I can share with everybody here tonight that a lot of the parking citations that are issued because community members are calling in, reporting these types of violations. Of people calling in? I don't have the specific breakdown, but I think it's important to share with everybody here that if you're suggesting that we focus our efforts on, let's say, more important things, and I get where you're coming from, please remember that we have a duty to enforce ROs, HRS laws. And again, a lot of the parking citations comes from people calling us and wanting us to do something about it. And I say this very respectfully. Just because we gave 2,000 parking tickets doesn't mean we're not capable of preventing or catching more serious offenders that do bad stuff. It's kind of like that broken windows theory, where if you don't address the small stuff, people will think they can just keep going and going and going. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I appreciate your comments. I do want to just leave you with the fact that we have personnel to handle bigger things, and we're not meter maids, right? But if the public calls and brings things to our attention, like, not to talk this to death, but we can't have fire hydrants blocked, or HFD can't do what they do. We can't have crosswalks blocked because then people in wheelchairs or with disabilities might not be able to get off the curb. So again, appreciate you being here. Thanks for your comments. And hopefully that gives a little bit of a broader picture of why we have so many parking tickets as opposed to, let's say, speeding and the noise kind of thing. So
Go ahead, sir. Gentleman in the red shirt.
Hi, how you doing?
sir.
My name is Randall Lewis. I live over at Harbor View, which is the corner down at the cul-de-sac, LOI, the end of LOI, Ala Moana. And so I'm also one of the HOA directors there. So I come in asking questions really to spread the knowledge, or spread what questions that I have to everybody else on that block. But one thing happened in January was that you do the street sweepings on Monday and Friday all the way down. Are you aware of what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's certain streets within Waikīkī that have street cleaning days. I know Alawai Boulevard is one of them, and then, yeah.
What was the decision to have it for Monday and Fridays as opposed to once a week?
That's a great question. That I don't have an answer for.
Also, if it's twice a week, and there's appreciation that the streets are kind of cleaned in a way, because a lot of cars that were just parked there aren't parked there anymore, which allows people that live in the condominium to live there. But just living on Oahu, a lot of people take weekend trips to other islands, park their cars on the street, come back on Monday, And that kind of, what I'm saying is if it has to be 2 days a week, why does it have to be Mondays and Fridays? Could it be like Fridays and Tuesdays or Thursdays and Mondays? So it's a question that I have, and it's a legitimate question because it's based off of kind of like a lifestyle. And also on the corner, we've had homeless people that there's this one lady, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of, but her name is Sarah, and she's been screaming for years on that corner. And from my board meetings, we always try to ask, well, what can we do? What can we do? And my building manager said, well, I've been calling the police for 9 years. So kind of asking you if this is a situation that's been going on for 9 years. And when I mean screaming, I don't know if everyone else has heard, but I mean, it's all night and it's nonstop. And, but if calling the police officers to see what we can do, or all the time complaining about noise, what is the decision that leaves it to just be there and not get resolved? And these are the two questions that I have that I will bring back to our residents and my board. Thank you.
Sure. So thanks for both of those questions, and I'll just, we'll navigate back. So the first question is, why are the streets getting cleaned on the posted days, right? And why do we do that? And the other question is the screaming lady that causes a big ruckus. Let me start with the screaming lady. If she's been doing that for 9 years, then what's probably happening is she could be arrested for disorderly conduct if she's screaming and causing a disruption in a public area. I don't want to guess because I'm not familiar with this lady, but she'd get arrested. She'd get her day in court. Maybe she serves 1 day in jail. Then she's let out, and then she goes back to the same spot, screams and yells. We arrest her for disorderly conduct, and it's just a continual cycle. Getting to the parking. I think that ties in with who our elected leaders are. I think that probably has to do with the representatives in Waikīkī. That's not really a police issue. And when you say, how can we fix this? So I live in this community too, not only my police officer, and I can tell you that I'm very focused on the elected leadership that we have representing us. So how do you fix this? You elect people to public office that care and don't have an agenda and will actually listen to the people in the community. And that's not a sarcastic response to you. The police department can't fix either one of the things that you brought up. We can arrest the lady for screaming and causing a ruckus for under disorderly conduct. We have to navigate that. Now, how long she stays in and whether she's eligible for a geographic restriction and other things, that's not on the police side. And then with the street cleaning, that has to do with, I believe, elected leadership. And I get what you're saying, especially if people travel and they go off island, I understand that. But I hope I've answered both of those questions.
No, completely answer. I appreciate you. Thank you.
No, thank you for being here.
Sarah,
I actually, so Mr. Lewis, you're actually my neighbor. So, and then I believe it was in February, that same question was brought up by a couple of residents here about the parking. And it's not police, it's actually Tommy Waters, the Department of Transportation. So it's brought up in February. Hopefully Tommy Waters at this point has addressed it. It doesn't sound like he has, but he will be here later. If you'd like to ask him directly, or his representative will be, that can address that issue, because it was brought up in February. It's been 2 months now. The second thing is, I wanted to say thank you. One of my ideas, I know it's not the best fix. I would rather have people on the ground and, bike officers, but we're still down over 400 officers. Is that
That's correct.
correct? So, but one of the suggestions I did have was that having a sign up warning people about the loud muffler. I know it's small, but I saw that you guys followed through with it. So thank you for taking our ideas and implementing them. And third thing is, I understand about the parking tickets, because one thing is we have meter maids handing them out. So it's more of administrative. It's a easier to get to, easier, not target, but it's something that can be handled by people who are not full-fledged police officers. So that can be the reason why the numbers are so high. And it's not because you're neglecting one over the other. And I believe that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
anything else for, Greg?
Just a quick question. And I don't know if you served in Chicago as an officer.
I did not.
You did not. Okay, so you couldn't, maybe not, you can't answer the question. I was going to ask you what you would do for the screaming lady in Chicago. But what would you recommend we do? You mentioned elected representatives are where we need to go so they listen. We need something on the books that says if you do that 3 times, you know, something happens, or if you do that 10 times, something happens.
You know, John brought this up. The whole, and again, I live down here, so I wear 2 hats. I'm not only in this uniform, but I could easily just show up here and be sitting out there in those chairs. We need as a community to make a decision about how much leeway we want to give the mentally ill and the homeless people that come to Waikīkī and create these disruptions. And when we come together as a community and decide what we want to do, then we need to put people in office that are going to listen to what we need. Okay? Because again, as police officers, we can simply provide direction, we can take enforcement, we can attempt to educate. But when you have a woman that is maybe suffering a mental health crisis every other night, right? The police department is not fully equipped to handle that. And again, I would love to see the elected leaders in this community come together and fix the problem. The police officers are not the guys or women that fix the problem. We enforce what the elected legislator decides. And we have a really special community down here. And in my humble opinion, none of this should be happening. These people should not be given carte blanche to piss on the sidewalk, drink wherever they want. We will arrest them for open lewdness. We will arrest them for drinking in public. But these are minor offenses. They are taken to the cell block. Maybe they spend a day or 2 in jail per what the requirements are, and then they're back on the street. So there's no quick answer for this, and there's no quick fix. But when I stand in front of you folks, I want you to understand, as police officers, we get tired of arresting that lady for disorderly conduct, 6, 7. And I don't know how many times we've arrested her. Do you realize that there are people living on the streets here in Waikīkī, you ready for this, that have been arrested 400 times, 300 times, 275 times? Your mouth should be open. We have individuals down here that have serious issues medically, mentally, and whatnot, and they've been arrested hundreds of times. Some of the characters you see down here, it's like a revolving door. So we understand. We are going to continue to be proactive with our enforcement. We're going to continue to be proactive with our education. We're happy to meet. We're happy to meet with elected leadership, board members, community people, where hopefully we can come together on something like this. But Waikīkī is a special place. It's the jewel of Oahu, and some would say probably the jewel of all of Hawaii. And I think most times it deserves better than what's happening.
Anything else for HPD?
I want you to know if I have to take questions for more than another 5 minutes, I'll be expecting at least a sandwich or a drink, maybe some chips, something.
We'll send you to McDonald's.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Always happy to be here.
I will wrap this one up then. Okay. So Bambi Noelani, I'm Kaima Aina, born and raised here. Grew up in Waikīkī, Kahala, but Waikīkī has been my home now for over 30 years. And I've seen all kinds of, I mean, I'm sure all of you have too, witnessed the progression of just this being a place where, like you said, they can do anything carte blanche. And I understand, and I thank you so much that you're the enforcement, that you enforce what the elected officials have allowed you to enforce. Now, I just want to say this just for all of us, but should we look at, let's say, Florida, their pilot program, what they have done to rehabilitate the homeless, and you know, the very similar incidents that we are now experiencing, and what they have done, because I've researched the success of these pilot programs in certain cities of Florida. And so I was just wondering if anyone ever wanted to, you know, brainstorm and, talk about that. So thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you.
Any other questions for HPD? Pardon my voice tonight. I don't see any. I don't see anybody on the WebEx.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Next, we have Dominic and Board of Water Supply. In June, I am going to ask some experts on homeless to be with us at our meeting. So maybe we'll see something there. Go ahead, Dominic.
Good evening, Dominic Diaz, Board of Water Supply. I just wanted to mention that I too have a warrant out for my arrest for failing to appear at jury duty. So, so looking back, there were no main breaks last month to report, no active Board of Water construction. So just some general announcements. The Board of Water Supply, in conjunction with Hardware Hawaii, is hosting a series of events to observe Detect a Leak Week. So I know this is something I always harp on, but now there's an event. We are encouraging people to attend one of our events. So Saturday, April 13th at Pearl Ridge Center from 11:30 to 1:30. And Friday, April 19th at Kahala Mall at the Center Court area from 11 to 1. There'll be information on leak detection in your home, advice on how to detect the leak, how to fix it. There'll be interactive booths and games and prizes and things like that. You can always check our website for information, boardofwatersupply.com/DALW. Also wanted to mention that the city has launched a new alert system, so emergency alerts, and there's a couple ways you can sign up. So you can, you can create an account on hnlalert.gov, so that will allow you to customize what kind of alerts you want sent to your phone, or you can just text HNL alert. You can text 888-7777 and you'll receive all critical alerts directly to your phone. No need to do any additional registration. This time I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply.
Questions for Board of Water Supply? Don't have my assistant tonight to point out people raising hands, so I'll take a few seconds. Dominic, I don't see any,
All right.
but summer's coming and we're going to.
Yes, absolutely. We are in an extended drought period. We had some fairly good rainfall in January, but December, February, March were lower than average. So always please conserve, use wisely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, citizens' concerns. Again, it's 2.5 minutes. If you have something that is not on the agenda, go right ahead and use the microphone. Go ahead, Jacob, followed by.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start by saying next month we have, or this month here in a couple weeks, voting starts for the neighborhood board elections, and we have plenty of fine candidates running for office, for election or re-election to this neighborhood board. Myself included, I'm running for election, shameless plug on my part. But there's 3 members I really want to highlight tonight for really their positive contributions. Bob, Catherine, and Jeff Mers over here. For those of you who subscribe to the Honolulu Star Advertiser, there was a pretty important article this weekend about the Auai flood control project, and people who have been coming here a long time know that Waikīkī is uniquely at risk to sea rise. We're uniquely at risk for all sorts of flooding disasters, and this project has long been delayed, and the costs seem to be bouncing every which way. Now there seems to be a number bouncing around of $11 billion from a project that was supposed to cost only a few $100 million. And as we head, to the polls here for the neighborhood board elections, if you have the chance to vote for any one of these 3 neighborhood board members, I would encourage the community to please do so. These are the people who are out there pounding the pavement, not trying to attract, make headlines or get glory. They're out there doing the hard work of advocating for and representing this community. And this is genuine. This is heartfelt. Nobody paid me or put me up to do this. I'm trying, I'm grateful that they continue to serve on the board. I think the community, we should give them another chance to continue serving us. And, there's a lot of big projects, a lot of big initiatives coming around, and we need the right people on this board, not people who are just going to be show horses. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Go ahead.
Okay. My name's Laura Ruby.
Excuse-
I'm coming to offer again the resolution for a full environmental impact statement. And it's for the Kalaimoku Street, which is in Waikīkī, and the University Avenue, which are also both residential communities. And this, what an EIS is, it will give information. It's not about punitive things. It's not taking away things. It says there is more information out there than already exists. And just to give you a feeling of what it is, we have a lay of community neighborhoods so far. The neighborhood boards, which include Mo'ili'ili, Waikīkī, Manoa, Diamond Head. I think I covered 4 of them. Anyway, and they've all signed on, and we would hope that the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board would also do this. This is for informational purposes only. So it would just do a whole lot to bring it all together to feel that there really is a lay of aloha, a lay of community neighborhoods. And I just want to leave you with one last thing. Here's something that in the current information you've been given. First of all, you all know that a couple decades ago, Senator Carol Fukunaga and other legislators stood out in the middle of the Alawai Canal on a big island of silt. And this was for them to encourage to dredge the Alawai Canal. Okay, you know that we've had several other successive diggings in the Alawai Canal with little teeny scoop shovels going down maybe 8 feet. But do you know the depth of the Alawai Canal is about 25 feet. Now that means that there's still loads of stuff that's down there that's clogging up. Where is the first place that the water will jump if there is a large heavy rainfall? I'm sorry to say it's both sides of our canal. So this will be something that will give us information, and we'll be able to much further go forward with what it is, whether it's the flood control or whether it's the proposals for transportation. So I would like to have this on for the next agenda coming up in the next month, and tables for all of you to read over again. And I imagine it will be in the Google Drive so people can catch it who are online. So thank you very much.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that we have a storm drain on Kaialani in front of the building 222 Kaialani that has been destroyed. It's actually completely caved in, and it's been opened for over almost a month. I first noticed it on March 15th, and that's when our resident manager had reported it to the city, and they put up some barricades. But it's really a hazard, I mean, for people who are walking and people who are driving down the street, because the grade is almost completely sunk in to the ground. My second question is, has there been any update on the homeless camp that was approved on Kapulu over by the library? I mean, I think that was like 2 meetings ago that they talked about that.
We'll have a presentation on that later in the meeting.
Okay.
They are here. Thank you. And we'll report the 222 Kaialani problem. Anybody else with citizens' concerns? Citizens' concerns. Okay, thank you, everyone. Didn't miss anybody, did I? Nothing. Okay. Okay, approval of minutes. We're way behind on approving our minutes. If you have corrections to the minutes on the agenda and have not sent them in yet, please do so. So I'll go one by one. The November 12th, 2024 regular meeting written summary. Are there any corrections to that? Excuse me? Yeah, November. Yes.
I believe I'm no Anson. I sent you an email a while ago, but it's been a few months that the vote is off because I actually didn't vote for a couple of the items because, sorry, I was in the restroom. So,
No.
but I think that's the only correction.
What was the corrections? If you could just. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, yeah.
Greg, you had some corrections.
Just a question on the agenda. Did we have something on agenda that was there by accident because you skipped over item 4?
Oh, I'm really sorry. Like I said, my assistant is not here tonight. Did we have, moving back, we have a vacant seat in Subdistrict 3. Thank you for bringing it up. Does anybody on the board have someone to fill the vacant seat in District 3? Subdistrict 3. I don't see any. I may be blind, but I don't see any. Okay, it'll be on the next agenda. Thank you, Greg. We're back to approval of minutes. You had some corrections that you sent. Is that what I heard? And
Can you email me your correction? It's just voting? Okay, okay. Okay.
okay, so any other corrections for November 2024? Okay, I don't know if I need a motion on this, probably not. Anybody object to the minutes as corrected? As amended? Sorry. Seeing none, November 12th, or to any further amendments that we may come up with. January 14th, 2025. Any corrections that, I see. Sarah, go ahead. Greg, go ahead. Somebody go ahead.
Yeah, that's the one that had Bill 50, that there was substantive changes needed. And I know I already discussed this with Anson,
Yeah.
so he knows. If we could just make the record correct to what happened at the meeting, even if the mistakes were made, that the record shows that. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other amendments for January? Seeing none. We'll move on to February 11th. So you're going to make the amendments. Yeah. So any other correction or amendments for January? Seeing none. We'll move on to February 11th, 2025. Any adjustments, amendments? And if we don't see them tonight, please just let Anson know and we'll make a correction at the next meeting. Seeing nothing on February, move on to March 11th, the last meeting. Any amendments, corrections, whatever, for last month? Sarah, I think you were ill. I'm glad you're back. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. You take a vote.
No, that's okay. Can someone make a motion first with amendments to adopt the
draft minutes with.
I motion that we accept the amendments to the minutes.
Is there a second? Lisa, okay. Okay, when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain. Okay, Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. Robert Boyack? Said yes, okay. Catherine Lee?
Yes.
Okay. Carbonaro? Yes, okay. Louis Verchek?
Yes.
Okay. So is that here? Finley? Yes, okay. Catherine Heskey? Okay. Daniel Jacob? Yes, okay. Ken Jacob? Okay. Jeff Mers? Okay, yes. Greg Musakian?
Yes.
Okay. Chad Snyder?
Yes.
And Sarworth? Abstain, okay. So that's 11 yes and 1 abstention. This motion passes. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. We needed to get those out of the way. And if in your notes, you find something that is glaring, please let Anson know. We'll vote on to next meeting. Public events, Saturday, May 3rd, 6 a.m. to noon, will be the 45th Annual Visitor Industry Charity Walk. Sunday, May 12th, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. One we covered before will be the Honolulu Police Week Memorial Walk March, and that starts at the police station downtown and goes over to Honolulu Holly. Basically, it's honoring 9/11, more or less. Saturday, May 17th, 2 p.m. to midnight, Hawaii Life Festival. Sunday, May 18th, 3:45 to 9 a.m., the Honolulu Triathlon Race, primarily in the Ala Moana or in Kapiolani Park area. Sunday, May 25th, 3:30 to 9 a.m., the Hibiscus Half Marathon, and that one will be primarily in Kapiolani Park. Monday, May 26th, which is Memorial Day, 4:30 to 9 p.m., the Shino and Lantern Floating event. It's at the Ala Moana Park across from the Ala Moana Center. And I put this in because it does a lot of traffic congestion in that area. And then Saturday, May 31st, 2 p.m. to midnight, the Leahi Festival. I think that's got them all. I heard a rumor that there might be a Memorial Day parade on Memorial Day, but I haven't seen anything official on that. Okay, applications for liquor license, hearing on May 1st, 2025 Cohio, 2025 Cohio Corner on 208 Kapuni Street, asking for a restaurant general category 1, which means they're there maximum till 2 a.m. That's the only liquor license I've had contacted about. Okay, now elected officials, mayor's representative, Nola, there she is. Representing Mayor Blanchiordi.
Good evening, Chair Finley and members of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. Thank you for having me this evening. So I guess I'll report on what some of the questions that were from last last meeting, but I did want to give a couple highlights from the mayor's newsletter. We've started the mayor's town halls for the third year in a row. This year there are 7, and the one actually that addresses the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board is going to be at Kalani High School. I believe the date is June 6th. So I'll get back to everyone. I'll remind all of you, but there are going to be a little bit fewer town halls this year, but the one for you all is going to be at Kalani High School on the 6th of June. We've reopened the Neil Blaisdell Center Concert Hall. And we are, I think I mentioned last meeting, for any of you who have children or grandchildren or friends, we are looking for summer fun aids. And so please go to the mayor's newsletter and there'll be a link there. And I think the one really important thing that everyone needs to know is we have a new HNL alert system, and it's for natural disasters and emergency situations. And if you look in your app on your phone, HNL alert, you can download the app and it'll let you register for phone and text alerts whenever there's weather issues or any kind of other emergencies that we need to be aware of. So we hope that everyone will subscribe to those notices. Okay, so from last meeting, I just wanted to respond to some of the things that came up last month. The affordable housing project is 1615 Alawai and 436 Ina Road. So I think we mentioned before that the city is revitalizing these 2 underutilized properties to create new affordable rental housing opportunities. This is being led by the Department of Land Management in coordination with the Mayor's Office of Housing. And so at 1615 Alawai Boulevard, the city acquired that property in 2024 after, many complaints about the blight and squatters and such. So demolition is underway to prepare for redevelopment. The affordable housing funds were used for acquisition, and future housing is at the site will be reserved for households earning 60% of the area median income or below, and with the affordability requirement in place for at least 60 years. 436 Ina Road previously operated as affordable rental housing. This is an 8-story building and a detached parking structure. And the city's now has I believe they're seeking a development partner. I'm not sure exactly what the status is of the RFP, but I have, if the board wants to see some flyers, I've got information on these 2 projects if you all are interested. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, this is from the Department of Land Management. Okay, so the other question we got a question about the tiles at the hotel. Let's see, I'm sorry, the sidewalk slope repair at Kailani and Puhio. The residents are asking if that can be replaced, and I believe that is something that we need to follow up on. Yeah. Okay, how about here? How about now? Okay. Okay, so I was just saying that the tiles on the corner of Kailani and Kuhio, there was a request for replacement. I'm not sure if the work order may have been put in for that, but they're going to give us a progress report. There was a damaged drain grill reported outside the condominium at 225 Kailani Avenue. And I guess we didn't receive a response from DFM for their areas, but we're put in a request for them to respond to us. The Waikīkī Beach lockers, resident Steiner wants to know the timeline of the pilot project, specifically how long it may operate, and also how much of the revenue the city is generating from the locker rentals. Basically, DES, the Department of Enterprise Services, says the beach services concessionaire at Kuhio Beach has recently added the service of providing security locker rentals for individuals to store belongings. This is a year-long pilot project which will help to determine the viability and effectiveness of having security locker rentals in the area For the duration of the pilot, the city is not collecting any revenues from the concessionaire for the security locker rental service. Okay, the trash can issue, resident Steiner requested that more trash cans be installed along Waikīkī Beach. And the Department of Park Service Recreation has said they have now placed over 30 trash cans along Waikīkī Beach between the HPD substation and Kapahulu Avenue. They're saying that these are serviced multiple times a day, and they're part of a generous donation given to the city to, which are designed so that people are not able to rummage through them and basically trying to keep the sidewalks clean. Right now, we don't have the plans to place additional trash cans, so I'm not sure that's a budget-related issue. But I think they're going to see, how the current new trash cans work. Leaf blowers, resident Amin asked if the Department of Facility Management could do street sweeping instead of using leaf blowers. And I believe this is a request that came in that went to DFM now, because DPR is saying originally that went to DPR and that wasn't their area. I mean, I think the city is basically saying that they don't use leaf blowers. So we're not exactly sure what was, what the resident has seen, but I've asked several of the departments and they all said they do not use leaf blowers, but we'll continue to try to track that down. Beach revenue, resident Ahmed asked, how much revenue is the city receiving for commercial beach activities along Kuhio Beach regarding catamaran tours, chair, umbrella rentals, surf lessons, rentals, etc. The Department of Enterprise Services says they collect approximately $1.5 million in revenues from Waikīkī Beach concessions operating surf lessons, rentals, and chair umbrella rentals. And DPR said they do not have concessionaire contracts. So that's about $1.5 billion. Okay, so the town hall early trash pickup. I guess the last time I was here, we were discussing the town hall, and I touched bases. The deputy managing director is now in charge of setting up the town hall, and he has been in touch with all the parties on this topic. I think he's coordinating with Chair Finley, but and Chair Waters. They're looking to find a date, but that works, but they would like all the parties involved to be there. And I think we have requested in the past for the people that have complaints about this issue to give us the addresses for the buildings that are being impacted by the noise. And Anson or Chair Finley, if one of you could try to collect the addresses, because I think one of the issues is to try to look at the specifics of the buildings of the people that are saying that they're being impacted by the noise. So, because I think one of the issues is trying to get the people who are being impacted by the noise and the AO representatives there as well. So, I know that's been an ongoing issue. Okay. So we'll let everybody know about a date. Okay, the Shore Fire restaurant. This again is the resident Amin would like to know if Shore Fire has permits to keep tables and chairs, and how can residents see permits? And the Department of Planning and Permitting says Shore Fire has a street usage permit issued March 5, 2025, receipt number 5643. The permit is not required to be posted by the restaurant, but you may contact the owner, Alan Farinas, at 808-358-8386 if you would like to see the permit. You'd have to request that from the restaurant. Okay, the stairway, there was a resident that asked if DPP could check the stairway for Lilia Waikīkī on Kuhio Avenue, indicating they thought it was a design error, and that older residents are having a hard time distinguishing the difference between the sidewalk and the stairs due to the color and the way the stairs were built. So DPP actually conducted a field investigation on March 18th. They revealed a 29-story commercial project with exterior concrete stairs fronting the corner of Kanikapole and Kuhio Avenue. This is the report, obviously, from DPP. The concrete steps have only 2 steps with 12-inch runs and rises between 4 3/4 to 5 inches. These dimensions are acceptable and comply with the building codes. The IBC I guess the code generally allows a maximum rise or height of 7 inches and a minimum tread depth of 10 inches, while OSHA standards allow a maximum rise or height of 9.5 inches and a minimum tread depth of 9.5 inches. Outdoor stair dimensions typically feature a tread depth between 10 and 14 inches and a rise of 4 to 7 inches. For a short flight of stairs with only 2 steps, the dimensions observed are within acceptable limits for safety and code compliance. So DPP has said there's no code violation at this time. So Chair Finley, I know that we did get an email from the person who complained, so perhaps I can try to forward this part of the response.
Send it to me. She sent me an email today. She's out of town.
Okay,
I believe she was talking about the reflection of light on the steps. I'll send it to you.
okay, thank you. Okay, speed reduction. The Department of Transportation Services resident Ahmed questioned what the process is to lower the speed limit for the merging lane of Kapahulu Avenue to Alawai Boulevard and asked if it's possible to add speed bumps on the 4 lanes near the merge. And DTS said they will conduct an investigation which may require research, site inspections, and an analysis of the area's traffic collision history. And they will let the board know when they complete their investigation. Okay. I guess that's it for responses from last month. Happy to take any questions.
Questions for the mayor. Please use the microphone over here.
You are so thorough. Thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
Okay. For the last point, you said DTS is going to look into an investigation about lowering the speed limit.
I think it was the
Any
combination of
timetable?
this- Well, I think it was a combination of the speed bumps. The question was, could they?
Or speed humps?
Yeah, could they
Either
add
one.
speed bumps to lower the speed limit? And what is the process? So they didn't give a time frame, but we can try to find out from Director Morton. But they are just going to start doing an investigation to try to determine what can be done over there.
No time frame, but plus speed bumps, maybe speed humps. I don't know how the finances work on that. The shore fire, you're saying it's the citizen's obligation to contact Alan?
He has a valid permit, apparently.
Apparently or confirmed?
Confirmed. March
And-
25th, and there's
March
a permit.
25th.
Yep,
Okay.
permit number.
You said 5643? Is that the correct number?
5643.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a.
On the 25th of March.
March 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I guess
is it possible to go?
they're not required to show the permit on the premises like a liquor license or, I mean,
Sure.
they're not required to do that. So if you want to verify the permit, they're basically verifying to you that there is a permit issued to him for outdoor dining.
Reading the terms of the permit, it's on the government website or not? I mean, that we can read the terms.
Yes, I'm sure it's on the government, when you apply for the permit, it probably, I'm sure
It's posted.
outlines the requirements, and there are certain requirements that they have to comply with, and I'm not sure who is doing the enforcement of that. I'm not sure if it's DPP or not. But I think the Department of Transportation is issuing the permits, and DPP is doing enforcement.
Okay. I'm not done. Okay, I have more questions.
Thank you.
The breakdown of the revenue that's collected on the beach, you said it's a million,
1.5,
1.5 per year.
yes.
It's not broken down to who is paying that. Is that correct?
No.
It's a general
it's-
number.
It's a total revenue. Mhm.
So there's no way to be informed as a citizen who is paying how much in which section. Is that correct?
We
And
asked-
it's,
that wasn't the part of the question. It was just how much revenues are they generating, but we could ask and see if they're willing to provide a breakdown of the revenues. Okay.
I would appreciate that. And if it's available on the government website. And the only final thing is regarding the leaf blowers, where they said they're not using it. Come on.
No one is admitting that they're using leaf blowers on
Mhm.
Waikīkī Beach. Now, I'm not sure about, I think we tried to ask WBID and they also said they don't use leaf blowers. So I'm not really sure. We haven't been able to figure out who's doing the blowing, but I can try to ask a little bit. Anson, maybe we can try to ask a couple other divisions.
Okay.
I'm really not sure, but they are all saying that they do not use leaf blowers on Waikīkī Beach.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Just one final thing. The acronym APID, APID.
I'm not familiar with it. Are you asking if we could figure out?
You gave an acronym and I wanted to write it down.
Okay, thank you. We have somebody else who wants to ask a question. On the leaf blowers, your tree trimmers use them extensively. So whoever the city contracts with trimming the trees in Waikīkī, they use a lot of leaf blowers when they do that. Go ahead, Greg.
Nola, I just had one comment. The dangerous steps is that I happened to go back over there after we had the discussion and knowing that I've seen people fall, literally watch them fall in a similar situation where there was a step that looked like it was going into the same colors of the further below. The issue is that the steps are the same material that the sidewalk is. It's not the depth, but the depth also adds an element of that too, because with the depth being shallow for the steps, it gives you the illusion that it's kind of a flatter surface. Like you don't even realize that. So when you go down, I mean, I almost fell over there a couple times. When you go down and look at it, you see that. So when DPP doesn't put that into the context of the discussion, and they're just looking at the technical aspect of the depth of the stairs, it's concerning that they don't at least comment on that. But
Yeah.
the full response should comment on it.
I think that I think they feel like, it sounds like from the answer, they feel like their responsibility is really to compliance with the code, building codes. And outside of the compliance with the building codes, I don't know if they have any authority to tell people that they have to change the tile or that they have to fix something that's already been constructed, because they need some kind of legal basis to say, you've got to fix this and rip it out and fix it. So, I'm not sure that that is actually something that the city can require an owner to fix. It might just be a liability thing that the hotel has to fix.
Yeah, and I agree that the hotel is responsible, but I would hope that there'd be a partnership with the city and the hotel. And ultimately, I don't think you have to rip it out. I think if you just put something on the leading edge of the steps to be, a different color, that would, and maybe just paint it on even just like a line that's, evenly put all the way across. It could just be a darker tan color, just something to show that there's an edge there.
I think
That's
one
it.
of the issues is that no one has reported, when you say that people have fallen or something on those steps, no one has reported those to us. And if they should be reported to the management of the hotel as well, I mean, those are all liability that are, because they're within code. I mean, I'm not really sure what else I can say. I mean, I think these comments have been made to the Department of Planning and Permitting, but I think they feel that they're only authorized to enforce within the building code that they have.
Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of reaching out to the hotel. I'm just wondering if anybody's had a discussion with the hotel and, what can they do to mitigate that? Are they even concerned about it? Has anyone spoken to them? Or no?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else for the mayor that we haven't discussed?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Nola, for coming back and, been a great asset to these board meetings. You always give thorough reports. I understand that the mayor's got his budget that's being worked through the city council right now. And I would just like to say on the top line, I'm appreciative that the mayor and the team are doing their best to keep taxes down and doing their best to prevent spending from skyrocketing too much. I know there's a lot of tough decisions that have to be made. It's easy for me to say, oh, just keep spending down, keep taxes down, but to see that actually coming into work, I really appreciate that. But there are two really big areas I think that the mayor and the council need to focus on for their budget. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. We desperately need permitting reform, and we need a greater focus on affordable housing in this city. The permitting is just crushing everybody, these Byzantine processes. And I understand that significant progress has been made in the DPP backlog, and significant progress has been made in addressing and reforming these systems. Just we need to get more aggressive, because these delays that take months and months and months, if not years, add real costs to real homeowners, to real associations, to businesses. And these delays are simply just too much to bear. And that flows directly into promoting affordable housing, right? I'm appreciative that we've got a lot of projects in the pipeline. There's some revitalization work going down. I think there's something going on down in Evile, which is where, we're going to have a rail station eventually, which we need to get the rail done. Please, let's hurry up on that. But more importantly, what's holding back these affordable housing projects that we need to focus on is this just totally Byzantine, totally backwards permitting system. And I just encourage the mayor, I encourage the council, let's focus on cutting through the backlog, slice the red tape, and let's make Honolulu more affordable, so that way so many of the working and middle-class families here do not keep leaving. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Happy to pass it on.
Hi, by the way, I like your outfit, very cute. One thing is that Jacob brought up about the budget. I know that the mayor had mentioned before that since he got 67% increase in his salary, he wasn't going to take the 3%. Do you know if that still has, or if you can find out? I'm curious to know if he's still going to follow through with not taking the 3%. Him and Tommy Waters said they both were not going to take the 3% increase. And then my second thing is, all of these things we don't like, and NOLA can only report, hey, they're following the rules. There's not much we can do. So the biggest thing we have to do is get those rules changed. Hey, we don't like the exhaust coming in from the restaurant into our homes. Let's get the law changed. You don't like the steps that are unsafe. Let's get that law changed. You don't like the, speed bumps. Let's get that law changed. So I think the biggest thing is we need to keep looking at is, I know that NOLA can't enforce it. She can just report back, but we have to put pressure on the mayor. We have to put pressure on Tommy Waters, so they write legislation that works for us. Mahalo.
Thank you. Yes, I was just going to say that some of the issues I think, can be made into, we actually make a lot of the comments and questions into darts. But on June 6th, when we have that town hall at Kalani High School, I think Dawn Takechi Puna will be there, and she may be able to address some of these issues, the building permits, the building issues and the outdoor dining and such. So you, if you're interested, you may want to, join us there for those who are interested.
Did you have something for the mayor?
Aloha Nola. Just wanted to ask if, in case this hasn't been previously addressed, but why have we not had the beach access going all the way from the beginning of Waikīkī to the end of Waikīkī? We have to keep stopping and then going around and stop going around. And I've never seen that in all my life here. And it's been this way for years. So I just want to know if there's been any discussion about this. And if there has, then I apologize, but just what the status is on this. If there's going to be actual access for the beach from the beginning to the end, like it used to be. Thank you.
Are you talking about access from the sidewalks or?
On the beach. So you're able to walk from the beach from Queen Surf all the way. And what's happened is you have to actually stop, go around, and then you used to be able to go through the bridge where Halekulani is, right on the beach. Yeah, so I'm just curious what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure.
I'll say right here, just in case.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay.
Talking about the erosion where the sand is no longer there anymore.
Yes, and just the fact that we have to stop and then we just go around and stop and then where we used to be able to just go right through. And is
Okay.
just the status?
I'll find out. I think
Okay.
that's probably a combination, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I was going to say the state runs the beaches. Okay.
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Rick.
Okay, anything else for the mayor or for Nola? Thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
thank you very much.
I understand there's also a plan from the community to buy more trash cans, but we'll bring that up when they brief it. Next on our agenda, we have Councilmember Tommy Waters. Is any of his representatives here?
Good evening, Chair Finley. This is Kevin Imanaka representing District 4, Tommy Waters.
Hi, Kevin. Your turn to
Hi.
do your report.
I will, thank you. Really quickly, I just want to mention that the District 4 Waikīkī to Hawaii Kai April newsletter is now online at honolulucitycouncil.org/district4. I also want to say that Bill 61 CD1 prohibiting the performance of wheelies on public roadways was passed in April, and it now goes to the mayor for his signature. Council adopted Resolution 2548 CD1 at the last council meeting, urging the city to create an Oahu tourism strategic plan. So we will, of course, be keeping a close eye on that one. We were able to sign Bill 50 into law, limiting the amount of closures along Kalakaua Avenue. I want to thank Rick Egged, Trevor Arbazua, and of course, Chair Finley for being a part of the bill signing ceremony. And the last thing I will say before taking any questions is that the council is really, one notable thing the council is currently deliberating is sewer fee increases, which is scheduled to double over the next 10 years. The council is contemplating limiting the increase to 4% this year by using unused vacant job funds, vacancies for 3 years or more. And to testify in this measure next Wednesday at full council, go to honolulucitycouncil.org. And that's the end of my report.
Questions for Councilmember Tommy Waters? Questions for Councilmember Waters? Oh, Jacob.
Thank you, Chair. Sad to see the council member wasn't able to join us today, but there are just a couple of things that I just want to give comments on to take back to the council member, if you don't mind. The first being, I'm appreciative that Bill 1 was finally able to get pushed across the finish line. And the mayor was able to sign that here a few days ago. So kudos to the council on that one. I'm excited for Bill 24 about the revising the primary urban center development plan. I think that really provides the right vision for how we sustainably develop our urban core, which does include and impact very directly Waikīkī. I appreciate all the work that's gone into that, and it's nearing the finish line. So just like to communicate to the council member that, let's get this across the finish line. Let's push this through. It's been a long time coming. The guys did a lot of workshops on it. I'm grateful for that. And then I'm grateful for the, I really appreciate you guys pushing forward through Bill 50 on the parades. I know that's challenging, right? We all love parades, we all love events, and we need to, but they do have a negative impact when they're so frequently and so close together. So I appreciate the effort to sort of reel that back and sort of spread the love to other parts of the island and not just have it in Waikīkī. So a lot of good work. And then, hopefully you were listening when I gave my comments to the mayor. For this upcoming budget, we need to tackle permitting reform. We need to tackle deregulation, cut the red tape, more affordable housing. There's still a lot of work yet to be done. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. I did catch those two things and I will report those back to Chair. And thanks for those comments. I will pass those on as well.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. Are you just audio on this? Just audio, okay.
Yeah.
I have to agree with President Jacob that I am very disappointed that Tommy Waters yet again is not here. I mean, Sharon Morawaki, Adrian Tam, during the legislative session when they're going full blast, they still manage to come here every single time. But yet Tommy Waters hasn't been here in months. My second thing that I would like to point out is, yes, we have problems with the permitting departments. To get a permit, it's very slow. Has anyone tried to get an appointment at the DMV lately? It is months out. We have all these positions that are empty. That's why all of our services are so slow now. But yet you're going to take this salary, what is it you said, from positions that were not filled, and you're going to use that money to decrease the sewer, which is great. But the reason why these positions aren't filled is because the salary is not enough for a lot of them. People don't want to take that job when they can get a better job elsewhere. So I really hope that moving forward, we'll put more focus on getting the positions filled. As we know, we have 400 list on city council. I have to say, I'm still a little rough about the city council getting a 67% raise, but then still not working full time. So, and my second question is that same question that I gave to the mayor. They both, Tommy Waters and the mayor, stated that they were not going to take their 3% raise. I just wanted to see if they were following through on that. Mahalo.
Thanks for the questions. I'll take those back to Tommy Waters. We actually were there for the last 2 meetings, I believe. Tommy was present. With regard to the 3% in the last fiscal, as per the council's recommendation, none of the council members took the 3% raise.
Anything else for Council Chair Waters? See any? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next on our agenda is Senator Moriwaki.
Good evening, everyone. Some of you have my newsletter report here. We just passed, Senate and House just passed a lot of bills in the state budget, our draft of the state budget. We are now in the process of going to conference. So that means that bills that were passed go back to the originating House. So we get all our Senate bills back. And of course, most of the bills will be amended. So we disagree with them. And so when we disagree, we go to conference. And that's what will be happening in the next 2 weeks. So on the budget, on the bills, we will be conferencing and meeting until we get everything passed by Sina Die, which is May 2nd. So what you have before you are some of the bills that are still alive. And we've listed some of them that may be of interest. There is one correction on noise. The mufflers on cars, on vehicles, that is Senate Bill 1216, is alive. And it says that it will be heard tomorrow, April 4th, so it hasn't been corrected, but it was heard, and it is now going to conference. So these are bills still alive. So if you have any interest in them, you look on the website for the legislature. It's one of the best websites, by the way. And you can see who's been appointed to the various conference committees. And if you're interested in any of these bills, I would urge you to write to the conferees, because they are going to be deliberating and doing the final touches on the bills. If they can't agree, the bill dies. So there's still a lot of time, 2 weeks, for you to weigh in. But I would urge you to look at the bills of interest and follow them in conference, going to conference. We are still trying to find out what's happening on the federal side. We did have meetings with our congressional delegation to find out where we are, but it changes day to day. As you can see, you find out as well as we find out in the news of which tariffs is going up and going down. And we have a bill that is kind of a fail-safe if in fact some of these services to the vulnerable are going to be affected, that we still have a bill there that we can put some funds in to commute those programs. Well, I think I'll stop there. I think I've got some of my newsletters on the table, but if you have any questions about what's happened in the Senate, I can try my best to answer it. One of the questions on what's happening, and Rick can answer this, but the walkways along the beach side are all Department of Land and Natural Resources. That's a state organization that is in charge of that area. The city has some of it on the Mauka side of it, but it's mostly the Department of Land and Natural Resources and the private property owners. We have been working together with everyone, trying to get everyone together, and some funds have been allocated to provide some of the restoration as well as the repair of the walkway. I know that we have, and can talk about it once too. We had a long-standing debate with Halekulani, and now they've agreed to fix the. So it's very complicated. It's the landowner owns the land, and the Department of Land and Natural Resources owns the water and the beach up to a certain point. So Halekulani owns the land on which the seawall is crumbling. And we have finally, they asked for a permit, and the department has agreed and signed a permit for them to fix that retaining wall. Once they fix that retaining wall, the state has an easement so that people can walk along the walkway, along the coastline. So once they finish fixing that wall, then the city will, the state, which I would like the city to, but the state will get funding so that it can finish up the walkway on top of that seawall so that you can have that traverse that area. But right now it's been closed, and we've asked for it to be closed because it's unsafe. And so that's why you have to go around, traverse some of the areas where there's crumbling wall. So that's where it is on the coastline. If you have any other questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Questions for Senator Moriwaki, who is, oh, what a surprise. You have a question.
Great.
Sorry, I actually wanted to thank you so much. You're always here. Even like I worked one legislative session. It is insane. For 4 months, I mean, I was working like 12, 16-hour shifts. So I'm really impressed that you managed to make it here every time. So thank you for that, for your dedication. One thing I wanted to point out was that it's true that DLNR is in charge of the water, but the thing is they're in charge of the beach because the beach is public domain. right? So when the beach like erodes, it's kind of unfair to be like, oh, well, because the state didn't do their job. They didn't keep the beach there to later on be like, oh, well, the beach is gone and now it's on you because our portion that we were supposed to keep up on has eroded and gone. So hopefully we can work forward with that. And I was concerned that you're putting in groins. Is that still correct about the hotel? They're going to put in these like cement.
Seawall.
Like,
It's a seawall, yes,
And
because they
then-
have to have some structure there so that you've got stability.
yeah,
That's
no,
the-
absolutely.
yeah,
And, but from the diagrams that I saw, there was actually this, I know Adrian Tam had an issue and it was reported in Civil Beat when it first came out, was they're going to have these kind of T-shaped cement. Yeah,
groins.
exactly, the groins. And then, so just so you guys know what a groin looks like, it's like a T-shaped cement. It's huge. It's going to be like this. So it's not just one sea of the wall that goes out. So the beach there is going to be separated into like,
So there's two different things we're talking about. We're talking about the walkway and we're also talking about the groins, which, so the problem with the walkway is because of all of the wave action in the water is that it's being eroded and the sand also is washing out.
eggs. Well,
So
that's kind of like the,
that's
what comes
why
first,
we
the
have-
chicken or the horse, like
So
chicken
we
or
have
horse.
both. You need both. You need.
No,
both
and I
walkways
100% agree with you.
groins to keep the sand in. And so what we're trying to do, and there are a number of projects that we have appropriated, and again, it's in the budget bill, so we have to negotiate that in the next couple of weeks. But we are looking at finding nature-based or nature-inspired solutions for those groins so they don't look like the worms that you see out there. But we are looking at other ways, more innovative ways to look at how we can create, you still need the groins to keep the sand in. So there's all kinds of work being done there. But there's two different things, the walkway, the seawall,
So-
and the groins.
Actually, they are related because if it erodes, if the sand all erodes, then the walkway is compromised. You can't say it's two separate things. The fact is the DLNR used to be in charge of replenishing all the beaches in the sand. They had a schedule. And then Waikīkī Beach Improvement Association, they took over for DLNR basically. And unfortunately, some areas were given more sand than others. For example, Kuhio and the Royal Hawaiian, and my sub-district wasn't seeing any over the last couple decades. So my concern is that, yes, you can say, I mean, the fact that the walkway crumbled into the ocean and nothing was done, I was shocked by it. And I know that I do have a concern that I do have a concern.
There is a plan and it just, well, I guess Rick has been involved in this. There was an environmental assessment of the area. And so that took a long while. And so it just got approved by the governor. When was that, Rick? This past year. And so now that plan is there for us to build according to what was approved in that, or not approved, but at least assessed and evaluated in that plan. So there are funds that need to be, it's very expensive. So there are funds that are being looked at in a phased-in approach. But it is now done more systematically than just saying, we got to fix this, we got to fix that. So that it'll be more long-term and sustainable for the future.
Other questions from the senator? Seeing none, thank you. I understand Representative Tam has got a family thing going on tonight. Vaughn, are you here from the governor's office?
I'm here from Rep Tam's office.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought. Go ahead, Rep Tam's representative.
Hi, this is Flora, Representative Tam's office manager. Yeah, Representative Tam had a family engagement he had to attend to. So I am here. Thank you, Senator Moriwaki, for sharing about the sea level rise plans. We're so grateful to partner with you on working through those issues and appropriations. Like Senator Moriwaki said, conference is upon us, so we will be conferencing on the bills that remain. I think Senator Moriwaki's newsletter has a list, and then our newsletter, which should be located on the sign-in table, also lists some other bills. And so that's the legislative update. In a couple of weeks, the next meeting we'll have bills that pass to share with you. But we also have a big public health update, which is that there was this morning a confirmed case of measles on this island, on Oahu, here in town. And so everyone should be taking care. And we sent out an email today with some facts and recommendations from the Department of Health and as well as the governor. And I can try to answer any questions about that. But basically, measles is extremely contagious. We hope that everyone is vaccinated and that, the recommendation is to be vaccinated. It sounds like children are most at risk, unvaccinated children are most at risk. But the governor's office, as well as the Department of Health, will be providing, I think, daily updates. There was a press conference that was held this afternoon at noon that was available on the governor's Facebook. And we have some fact sheets if anyone would like to read those or needs more information, we can distribute that. So, and then I can take any questions back to the representative.
Other questions for Flora? Questions? All right, thank you. And now the governor's representative will tell us the same about the measles.
Good evening, everyone. I brought a couple print copies of the newsletter this month. Probably not enough for everyone, but passing them down. Yeah, I think I'm just echoing what others have said. The state were in session, writing testimony, monitoring bills, keeping an eye on what's coming down from the federal government. The newsletter highlights some new initiatives in housing and awards from DHHL to Native Hawaiians, the first in several decades, I think. So yeah, that's kind of all I have for this evening, but I'm happy to hear concerns or take questions back to the governor's office.
Questions, Governor Jacob.
Aloha, and I'm glad we had time enough left in our meeting for you to be able to give your report. Definitely worried about the outbreak of measles here, so I'm glad the governor is highlighting that. And I understand that the governor has been, very present in the media sphere regarding what's going on in Washington. I certainly don't envy your guys' job trying to keep track of what spending may not be, trying to churn through that. But what's really important, I think, is, what we can control locally here. And, before, these counterproductive tariffs, which are really going to hurt the externally dependent Hawaiian economy, I think that, we are one of the most uncompetitive states for business. We are one of the most overregulated states in the union. And to the extent that we can control these things and make Hawaii more competitive, right? I understand the governor can't control tariff rates or federal funding, but we can control, how hard we make it on ourselves to succeed economically here. And, we're seeing some action. I hope it makes it all the way through in the session of the state legislature, but doing whatever the governor can. We need on the state level to make it easier to do business here, to create more opportunity here, because we're just driving people away. I know there's some debate on whether or not the population is shrinking or growing here, but there's no denying the fact that hardworking middle and working class families are being pushed out of the state because it costs too much to live here, because it's too hard to find opportunity to succeed here. So I strongly encourage the governor to make sure that he's focused on what's going on at home. What's going on here, we can control to get the red tape out of the way, to make it so that way we can all succeed here. I know the 25 session's almost done, but between now and the start of the 26th session, whatever actions the governor can take, I look forward to seeing progress being made, and I look forward to seeing bold solutions and actions in time for the 26th session. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple comments. The governor's focus on housing and affordability is not going to end with the end of session. And the 12th emergency proc, I think, on housing is alive and well, and it's a major ongoing daily concern, but I appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you.
Other questions for the governor? Seeing none. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate it. Next, we have Rick Eggett. Rick, there you are.
Good evening, everyone. This issue of the walkway along Waikīkī Beach is actually of paramount importance. It's extremely dangerous right at the moment. There was a city access point that was between the Halekulani and the Outrigger Reef. It's been closed for a while now. It is a total shambles. It was a concrete walkway. It was like a sidewalk. It's completely broken up. Very dangerous to traverse. A lot of slipping and falling is taking place there. Halekulani, as the senator noted, just got their permit to fix the wall. DLNR is saying they can't do anything to help with the public access area until the wall gets fixed. So the wall is going to be fixed finally now. And it's amazing how long it takes to get the permits. But they do have a permit now, and they are going to start work on it. In fact, we're going to go look at it tomorrow morning to look at exactly what they're going to be doing. There is an old derelict groin in the area that I don't know if you walk through the area, you've seen it. I'm sure it was made out of cinder blocks, so it's really old. The new groins that are going in, they're not going to be cement; they're going to be rock groins. So at least they'll look more natural. Similar to the Royal Hawaiian Room that is currently in place. That's at the end of the Royal Hawaiian Hotel and really is the backstop of the Kuhio Beach. So they're going to be similar to that particular groin. Hopefully, actually we would like to not even have that cement center that you see in that Royal Hawaiian groin. We're looking for it to be rocks. There may be some cement to kind of hold some of those rocks in place, but the idea is to make it look as natural as possible. I want to really commend our senator because DLNR actually has $4.6 million that they can use for these kind of beach improvements that the senator got for them. It was about 2 years ago. And so that money originally was to be used to get this groins kickstarted, but that doesn't say that in the appropriation, just says for Waikīkī Beach. So they can be used, those monies can be used in this area. So we're actually trying to get DLNR to focus in on this particular space because it is such a problem at the moment. It's dangerous and it's only getting worse. And so we'd like to see some of those funds directed to that area. It is really the function of DLNR to be able to protect the shoreline, if you will. And so Beach CETA, we do have some funds that come from the landowners. And so we have put money into the project as well, particularly to studying what can we get done. And so the groin project is moving forward, but it'll take time. As the senator noted, the EIS was just approved in January. I think there's a 60-day challenge period. That's over. So we're now moving forward. There's funding in this year's legislature, which the senator and Rep. Tam have got it put in there to begin this project. I think there's $5 million appropriated. And that's not going to be the whole cost of the project. The project's probably going to run around $50 million. So it's not going to be cheap, but that will give us a beach along that entire shoreline. And of course, walkway. You'll be able to traverse it as well. And I also want to, it was mentioned earlier by Tommy Waters, representative, but we did get Bill 50 passed. Bill 50 was particularly aimed at creating a special category for street festivals. Because these street festivals, these for-profit street festivals that proliferated, we had as many as 18 of them in one year. And that was never the purpose. These street festivals were supposed to be public events to commemorate issues in the community. But some enterprising folks figured out how to make a lot of money off of this public street. And they were able to use the law as it was written to create all these events. So now those street festivals, a special category, they were all just street activities. So sporting events, parades, everything was all grouped together in one category. This bill that Tommy Waters promoted creates a special category for these street activities and limits them to 6 per year, 3 of which are the legacy events like the Honolulu Festival, Aloha Festival. And so there will only be 3 other events that can be put on. And so that is going to be a major improvement in terms of the street closures for Kalakaua Avenue, which is really disruptive. The sporting events and the parades are not as bad because it closes them for a few hours and then they're gone. But the street festivals were closing the street from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to midnight. And that on a Saturday night. And so that was really disruptive. And so getting that change passed was a big achievement, and it was a combination of effort from Tommy Waters and of course the mayor and his DTS really supported this. It concludes my report.
So,
Any questions? Yes. the next.
sorry, you looked at me like I had a question.
I was telling you I'm done.
I was there. They also, one thing in the bill, they eliminated events around things like Mother's Day. So that everybody who wants to take their family in for a Mother's Day dinner will be able to get into Waikīkī. Sarah, you had a question.
So a couple comments. First of all, about the cement groins, I actually got this picture from your website, from the Waikīkī Beach Improvement Association. And yes, there are, it looks like rocks around the cement tees, but it is mostly cement tees. So this is from your website. So, and to continue, sir, sorry. One other thing is that, you know, you talk about, you're right, festivals are disruptive, parades are disruptive. However, you're not mentioning that your festivals go on for hours too. You keep harping on everyone else's events going on for hours. So I just want to make sure it's clear that, you know, this, that you also have a financial interest in festivals on the street also, you know, to be fair. So.
I operate Aloha festivals. And so they are one of the 3 legacy events that are written, that are in the law.
Sure. And the spam. And so second
No,
thing, so
Sorry.
working with Charming Events, you're no longer working with Charming?
I do work with Charming, but they
Okay.
don't work with us with Spam Jam. That's
Okay.
somebody else.
Great. Oh, so my biggest thing is we're now it seems to be all DLNR. DLNR is in charge of beach erosion, but it has been the whole reason we created the Waikīkī Beach Improvement Association was to take that off of DLNR's plate because DLNR was not getting it done. So now it's back on DLNR because.
No, I wouldn't say that. Our goal is to, what the Beach Special Improvement District Association does is to pool money from the landowners. There is a role for, you're correct, Sarah, there's a role for both the landowners and DLNR in this process. And so what the Beach Improvement District did is by collecting an assessment from all based on the value of the property, the landowners piece of this can help with funding. That was the idea. And I also want to mention, by the way, that the project for the drawings has actually been moved to the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism. And that was done really at the request of Don Chang, the director of DLNR. because she felt very uncomfortable being both the regulator and the developer of this project. And so DBED is at the Office of State Planning, headed by Mary Alice Evans, will actually be the program that runs the T-Head Groin project. But you're right, the Spam Jam, I think, is one of the three legacy events.
Any other questions? Rick? Don't see anything here. Okay, next on our agenda, new board business. City Department of Transportation, are you here about the Cohio bus lane?
Sure, Finley, I'm online.
Oh, there she is.
Hi, good evening, Chair. Thanks for having me, members of the board. Sorry I can't be there in person. I am on mom duty, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate remotely. I want to share an update on the Cohio Avenue bus lanes that we did the first phase of in the fall, and talk about what's coming next. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Okay, you have the screen.
Okay, how does that look? Okay, there we go. Okay, quick overview of the project. I'm sure most of you know this as it sort of runs through the heart of the neighborhood board, but in December of 24 last year, we completed phase 1 of the Cohio Avenue Transit Priority Lane, just in the westbound direction from Kapahulu Avenue to Launiu, in advance of where it drops down to one lane, heading westbound. We are planning a second phase, this blue dash line here, from roughly right after Kanekapale, heading eastbound towards Kapahulu Avenue. The goal of the project is to speed transit time as well as improve safety along the corridor. Kuhio Avenue is, of course, very centrally located in Waikīkī. We run a lot of bus service there. The private sector runs a lot of buses and helps us move folks around as well. And most people using the street are not driving. So this project is sort of to help seek a rebalance of right-of-way. Kuhio has long been planned for high-capacity transit, bus rapid transit, rail, sort of different iterations over the generation. But this is the first sort of project that's come to fruition, and we hope it's just a first small step towards other future improvement. Mom, you're working, baby.
I actually missed it and then it rolled off and
Okay, I'll tell you when I'm done, okay?
no, and then it hit my leg.
Okay.
And then knocked me down.
Okay, so first things first, we did some data collection for that phase 1 project. We have seen some modest improvements in travel times for the bus. Not, astronomical improvements because we have such sort of short signal spacing and some other factors that we're continuing to look at. But we are happy with the operations in general from the bus perspective. The drivers love it. I think the riders particularly appreciate it, and there is some operational savings for us to be gained from the improvements that we just put in. It also creates more capacity for us to run additional service, which we are now planning to do, particularly as we gear up to the second opening of Skyline to Middle Street, and we'll be serving the airport, I think by October is what the mayor announced recently. And we're seeing better reliability. We're still seeing some loading in the lane that is still kind of jamming up the bus. And then we're also trying to monitor right turns in front of the bus, make sure people are trying to fall in behind them and make a right turn behind them instead of cutting them off at the intersection. And if we see that, we have some different strategies we can deploy, make adjustments. We have more details on this for those who want to see it. This is kind of by route. You know, the changes vary based on different routes. Some routes are allowed to skip over other buses and others are not. So obviously that limits those that can sort of take advantage of the travel time savings. We looked at traffic analysis as well. We did both pre and post travel time in both directions. It's pretty the bus lane on travel times. I will say our basic conclusion is that traffic still seems to be working pretty well. There aren't too many pain points that we know about, but that's why we're here to get feedback from you guys. It's very hard to sort of do a pre and a post evaluation in a short period of time because just traffic varies so significantly in Waikīkī due to time of year, special events, etc. But no, we are looking at it. And these are the travel time differences, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. And then we're also looking at bikes as well. We are seeing more bikes using the lane. We wasn't really one of the primary drivers for the project, but I do think it's a really good benefit. People on bikes seem to be a bit more comfortable out there. And knowing that there's no high quality bike facilities in Waikīkī, I think this is a great benefit. And we're also checking to see if it reduces bike riders on the sidewalk. Vehicle compliance is excellent. Most people are following new rules. We got about 2% of people not doing it for whatever reason. But overall, we're really impressed with the level of compliance. Special events, I think is something we're keeping an eye on. We did hear some complaints from the WIA about travel on Kūtio westbound during and after the Martin Luther King parade this year. So we looked at the data between 24 and 25 bus run data and didn't see much difference, but we can keep looking at this. You know, we always have the option to operate it differently during special events, but that's something we're still evaluating. Okay, hold on. Next step, we are planning to move forward with phase 2 in probably early May or so, which is that eastbound direction. Like I said, we're still collecting a lot of data and evaluating success. And then we're looking at increasing bus service with the second opening of Friday.
You're muted. You're still muted.
I know I'm muted. That's all I have to present tonight. I'm happy to take questions, comments. A couple things to note. We did get support from the TMA for phase 2. We've also shortened it to Kanekapale Kaiulani from feedback from the outrigger. We originally had it starting a little closer to International Marketplace and decided to, kind of keep the pilot a little farther from that very busy area there. And, we did phase the project based on feedback from the community. And, we appreciate that. We think that was a good way to go. Our contractor's been humoring us. And so we look forward to finishing this out. But thanks.
Got some questions here. Catherine, followed by Jeff.
I have received some phone calls from residents, and they seem to be having a problem making the turn from Kohio into several of the side streets. And they have complained about this going forward. I just wanted to let you know.
Is it left turn Oops.
I believe it's the right turns going from Kapahulu
Right.
down, and they're trying to make a right-hand turn from the left-hand lane. And they're encountering the buses, and it seems to be upsetting some of the citizens.
I know Chair was talking about, you know, he's a little bit, he's like an older driver, so he tends to get over earlier, you know, instead of waiting last minute. So that's just something to consider and pass on. You know, if you, when you want to get over, if there's too many buses, if that's, I don't know, cause of concern or stress for some drivers, that seemed like a good solution to me. But thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Renee, thanks for the great presentation. I'll speak for as a bicyclist. The project has been incredibly successful. You can get through Waikīkī on your bike now much faster than you can in any other mode. I use this all the time. I know we have some bicyclists here, but to all the naysayers, thought it was going to be traffic congestion, everything else. I don't see it. The traffic's flowing better. Bikes are flowing better. More people riding bikes. So great, successful project. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Jeff.
Other questions for Renee? I take it you're going to be using the same red paint that's used on the existing part?
Yeah, that was the plan. Is there a concern? We, you know, we tried to pick a paint that was not super bright red because of the special district requirement. I'm not sure if we succeeded, but we did try to pick something nice.
I notice a lot of wear and tear on it. I don't know, Jeff, do you see that when you're riding your bike? The paint? Yeah, it's going away quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah, it should last. The King Street, you know, gets a lot of use too by buses, and that is it's about 4.5 years old, and it's starting to look its age. So it should last at least a few years, the MMA. So luckily the contractor is still under contract. So we'll have them look out there and see how it's, we'll have them take a, you know, eye at the older one and how it's aging. It's really high quality paint. It's quite expensive. It should last us several years. So let me know if you see any specific spots or take pictures.
Yes, I saw them when they were installing it. I guess they can't use machines. It has to be by hand.
Yes, it also has to be done in the evening because the pavement temperature has to be lower. So it's a pretty particular material, which is why we expect it to last so long. But yeah, they bring out a guy from the continent to help advise on the project. Paint guy.
Maybe you could have facilities maintenance take a look and see how the wear and tear is doing on it. Because if it wears out as quickly as it looks like it is, it might have to be replaced.
Okay,
any other
thank you.
questions? Right?
Is there a warranty on the paint? And is there, obviously there must be some kind of warranty with the contractor, but do you know what the warranty period is? And obviously if they have to do it at night, they're compliant with the procedure to apply it. So has anybody got some specs on that we could see maybe later on?
So they're the same contractor that did King Street. So I don't know. We'll talk to him about it. I don't know. We'll talk to him about warranty and all that. Like I said, they're a local contractor. They do a lot of work for us. They're, I'm sure, hoping to keep good relationships. So we'll figure it out. But thank you for sharing the concern. I'll look into it.
Other questions? Yes, I have a question.
Thank you for your presentation. I had just a little clarification point on the difference between Kuhio and the protected bike lane on King Street. I know that, so in the intersections, there's paint. Maybe it's similar to Kuhio. Is that specifically what we're addressing as far as wear and tear? Because the sections on King Street are much less significant than Kuhio.
They're designed the same. So they have those big red patches that contain the bus only and the yield symbols. They should be roughly the same size, generally, same amount of paint. There are fewer signs in Waikīkī because you guys don't have signposts. You have streetlights, decorative streetlights. But otherwise, it was the same designer, pretty much exact same design, except Waikīkī we allow trucks and we encourage bikes. But otherwise should be about the same. And the color slightly different.
Other thoughts? Okay, well, yes.
Thank you so much for such an excellent presentation. Yeah, and I do notice also just the ease of the flow of traffic on Kuhio now because of that added lane for the bus. I just have a question about a certain route that I don't understand why it got canceled, and we're trying to resurrect it. So I just want to know if this had ever been brought up, but it was route number 20, and it went from the Elks Club all the way through the end of Waikīkī. And I just want to know if they'll ever resurrect that. Thank you.
I am not a bus route planner, but I will pass it on and tell people that you love it. And yeah, I'm sure they'll have some new route that replaced it that's even better. And we'll get that back to you guys.
Next month, we will have the people in charge of the bus routes here for a presentation.
Perfect.
They've already
They're
scheduled that.
the right people.
Any other questions? If not, I think I've already mentioned to you that I'm concerned about the Banyan property behind here with the amount of traffic they have crossing Kuhio that might slow down the whole process. But again, we've discussed that already. Oh, there goes a trolley. Okay, Renee, thank you very much. Take care of that baby, please.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Now we have we had the beach lockers on, but Dave is unable to be with us tonight. They'll be on our next agenda. The city Honu was a meeting ago, and I'd like, the city has volunteered to be here to tell us what that's all about.
I think I have a presentation that was sent to you. So good night, good evening. It's nice to be here again. I think it's the third time I've been here at Chair Finley. So it's nice to be back. My name is Anton Krucke. I'm the Director of Department of Community Services for the City and County of Honolulu. We do all human services activities for the city and county. And so in my department, I've got elderly affairs activities. We have the Public Housing Authority is in DCS. Also, all of the HUD programs that come down come through DCS. Also, the grants and aids that folks apply for comes through DCS. The Child Care Coordinator office is in DCS. And Work Hawaii, which does direct outreach, work programs, both in the prisons and on the street, is in DCS. And also the Homeless Coordinator's office is in DCS. So I'd like to introduce you to Roy Miyahira, who's the city's new director of homeless solutions. He's just joined us about a month ago. I took Sam Moku's place, and so I thought we'd come along together and be in front of you to answer any questions you have. Before I start, I wanted to talk about a couple of things that came up, and then I'll walk you through HONU and what it does and what the objectives are for it. But, you know, like the gentleman over here in the red talked about a screaming woman, right? And I think the reply was you can't do anything about it. And that's not really true. I don't think the solutions are fluid yet, but there's kind of two avenues to go. If there's a relative, a spouse, or even a social worker, they can apply for a ACT program. And there's a portal on the judiciary's website, the Attorney General's website, that they can make the application and get the person assessed. And you'll see next week there'll be a press conference. We're also trying to kind of recruit, if we will, some more guardian ad litem. So if the court deems somebody's unfit, they can apply more. We've only had one active person, so we have that. Also, last time I was here, I talked about the opening of the Behavioral Health Crisis Center in Ibilay. You might have seen an article in the newspaper about that last week. And in there, what we've been working towards, it just wasn't ready. We opened it and the padded rooms weren't ready. But what we're working towards is for that kind of situation where an officer can call a crisis line and tell what's going on, and the officer can get an approval that the person is in danger to themselves or to someone else, and it can take them involuntarily and pick them up. I sort of see it as the officer comes over and hugs them and says, I want you to come with us. You know, I love you, but you're coming. And the person says no, and he says, yes, you are. And then we take them to the Behavioral Health Crisis Center, and like if they went to Queens, they'd be in for like a day, and then they come right back out if it's a day. And when Queens releases them, they just go right to the street. So we've done two things. One is the Behavioral Health Crisis Center can take that person in and hold them for 3 days and do assessment and work with them. And you hopefully there you can get a voluntary agreement to take meds. And meds are very effective. So, you know, we're trying to push that attitude. The other is we opened up, you know, housing isn't the solution for all homeless. So we've opened up some medical respites, one at A'ala, which is very close, which is in downtown, and then at Leahi. And what we do there, especially the one A'ala Park, is anybody that's released from Queens that the police take down there that went right back on the street, we take them right over there to the respite to spend some time and get ready. So it's not fluid by any means, but it's not nothing, right? And we're trying to get closer. There's bills in the legislature now that will even broaden our capability to do more of that because it's tough. I mean, we've done a lot of work, and I can tell you a lot of statistics on how many people we've housed and how many people we've bedded and a lot of things, but homeless are homeless. And when you have them, you know, it's frustrating, and especially mental health and drug addictions, you know, you feel safety threatened by those situations because they're unpredictable. So I appreciate that, but those are some of the things we're working on. So it's not a nothing kind of a situation. So HONU is the Homeless Outreach and Navigation for a Shelter. And we can go to the next slide. Basically, it's a set of really sturdy tents that we bring people in. It's a temporary triage center. And so the concept here is if you brought somebody into HONU, right, we would receive them. They have to be able to kind of walk to the bathroom, so it's not for all people, you know, but we bring them in there and we assess them. And while they're there, and generally, you know, it's like 9 days, 12 days, we work on where they can go next. So this isn't a destination for them, it's a triage center. Next turn. So we go around the island. The concept is that it's mobile, right? And so it moves around the island. The first place that we were at Old Stadium, right? And then we kind of got stuck at K Lagoon for a while because of COVID, and it kind of morphed into a whole bunch of small tents. And then because you couldn't be close to each other. And after that, we kind of went back to bringing them back in the tents, right? And so we move around the islands, and I would tell you, very rarely, but almost every time we would come, like, let's say we were doing something and doing it here, the neighborhood board and other people say, don't bring it here. We don't want it. And then what happens is if we're there, they go, don't leave, right? And so Kapolei, they didn't want it, and we took it up there. It was on city land. And now, you know, we're kind of gearing it down, and we're kind of analyzing what we're going to do next. We can talk about that. And they don't want us to go, right? So it has been very beneficial. And you can see in some neighborhoods, we've gone back multiple times, right? And so that's the concept that it does. Next chart. So what we're really trying to do is we're trying to triage people to solutions for them. All people don't work, but I will tell you, since the beginning, on a very consistent basis, 65 to 72% of the people that go into HONU get placed into something, right? We put them in shelters. Sometimes it's permanent housing, not as many. Sometimes it's return to their family, which is a very good solution. That takes a lot of work because you have to work with both the family and the individual. Sometimes we put them in medical facilities, and sometimes we return them to the mainland, right? Our returning to the mainland is pretty structured. We have to have a receiver on the other end. Unfortunately, when people come here, that's not the case. All right, next chart. So, you see the tents, communities get involved in helping us feed and work with the people. The people aren't in jail there. They can leave during the day and then come back. We monitor it pretty closely. There's a lot of coming down on drugs and things like that. We kind of push the enforcement around HONU out so that we kind of protect the area. I mean, you have situations, drug dealers, they kind of come around and you see they're there so that when they go out during the day, that they know they're there. I mean, this is a tough business, right? It's really tough. The people aren't always making decisions in their best interest, right? They're making personal decisions based on their desires. Next chart. Anyway, right now we're in Kapolei. Right across from the city hall up there is a Musubi lot, they call it. But I'll tell you, we've run really well up there. But in that same Musubi lot on the far end, I got a couple homeless. So I'm not saying that it solves everything, but it's one of the tools that the city has. The other thing it's allowed us to do, I mean, Grants Pass has opened up some leeway for us, but not total leeway. But before, under the Boise Act, we couldn't ask somebody to move if we were doing an enforcement unless we had a bed for them to go to. And HONU's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So other shelters may not be open, right? But HONU's always open. So it gave our law enforcement a methodology that they could use, to do the enforcements they do. I know that enforcements have a lot of different opinions about them, but my opinion is that you need to move people, because when people, you give them safe zones or you let them stay too long, then without moving at all, what happens is you build up society there, and the society has traffickers. It's run by drug dealers. You have guns that come in, and that's how hard it was to break up Waikīkī and other cities too. So I know that, people say, well, it doesn't work. Well, it does other things, so I'm kind of playing with a lot of things on the plate at the same time. So while it's been up in Kapolei for the last 5 months, I think we've been there a little longer than we wanted. 455 people have come into HONU that we brought. We also have transportation. So we can call a car, they'll come pick you up. And of those 282, we've navigated into one of those solutions that I talked about. Thanks, Chair. So this kind of gives you a sense of the shelter, reunited with families, permanent housing. So you see most of them are shelters, right? Returning with the family is a big one in my mind because that's taking a lot of work. Returning to mainland is sometimes very good. Permanent housing, now and then we can place somebody. Maybe these people have been with us before. They have all their documentation. They're ready to go, and we get them into permanent housing. Can't be fooled by the numbers, though, because it doesn't mean that all these people now aren't on the street. Usually about 50% of the people that go into shelters go back on the street, right? So that's the way it is. But there's a lot of people that HONU has addressed over the years, right, that have come through. Some of those stick, some of them don't. It's a great tool for HPD. And, it gives us a way to, gives core capability to do that. That was one of this administration's inventions, core, which was the non-HPD response to homeless. So it also gives them a place to take people. So anyway, that's those numbers since we started. That's a lot of people that we've worked with and continue to work with. Anyway, I'm not going to read, that's an eye chart, but you got the data there in the presentations, and hopefully there are enough to go around. Okay. That's fine. So anyway, this was a picture of one couple that, from HONU, they They kind of united back together. They were apart, but they wanted to be together, but it wasn't working on the street. We got them back together. We got them housed, and they are just so excited that they were able to be helped kind of settle down. It gives people a safe place because the street's not safe. When they get to home, it's safe for them there for a while, and so we offer that. It used to be run by DCS ran it at the beginning, and then when we kind of invented it, and then HPD ran it for I don't know, about 6 years or so, and then now it's back with DCS, and we run it. We do have HPD there, off-duty police that we hired for security. Anyway, thank you for the update on HONU. Roy and I are here to, any questions you have about that. This is an informational briefing on it, or any other questions you may have. Thank you for having us.
Questions? I'll start with Catherine and move down.
I had a shelter in Ketchikan, Alaska, and had to deal with many of the problems that you are dealing with. I find it interesting, though, however, that you say you are the only shelter on the island that is open 24/7?
Yes, correct. 7 days a week. The shelters are operating 24 hours a day. They're just not open for intake 24/7.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Oh, go ahead.
How you doing? My name is Randall Lewis. So what I was saying earlier about the screaming lady, that was more or less one example. But what do I have to I'll get to the end of where I'm trying to get to. But what I have to deal with for the most part is I stay in a condo that's right at the crossroads where the bridge, Alawai, Ala Moana. So me personally, I'm not a small guy, but I've been attacked a few times. I had to run away. Well, not really run away, but get away from a guy on Sunday. Okay. And a few weeks ago, a guy was on our lawn or on our driveway. And what I have to do is also provide security for myself, security for my condo, because in my condominium where I'm one of the HOA directors, it's more also financial security, because now we have to have 24-hour security at our place that we have to pay for, which increases our HOA, which was already increased by the insurance costs and all the other costs. So I understand where this program is, or how this program can help the people. And one of your last words were that it's not safe out on the streets, but it's a lot of the homeless people that's not making it safe out on the streets. And I'm not here to down anybody, but we have to be realistic about what's going on. And because I personally have to deal with it, my pockets have to deal with it. And I'm like everyone here, but I don't know if I'm like everyone here, but this is a real concern. And it's kind of dangerous to have a real concern and then put kind of like a smiley light on it, because it doesn't help, because the problems are still going. Financial security, like I said, we still have to pay more. We have to pay more in insurance. And if somebody attacks, again, one of the ladies that comes from the condo or in the area, now we have to do more. So a lot of times I stay out there kind of like a, I don't know, random security watcher to make sure that these guys go away. So, and while that last picture was right at Ala Moana, and a lot of people come over there from Ala Moana. So the lady that's screaming, along with maybe there's about 5 more kind of permanent residents. And then there's maybe about 100 more that kind of walk through. How are you, number one, is this a government agency or government, state government, city government, what you're representing, or is it contractor?
Services for the city and county of Honolulu.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know, so that's why I was asking the question. So the question is it does paint a good light on the initial findings with the data, but there's also not the data that says when people are in the shelters and they come back, because what they do, because I see a lot of them coming in and out. So with the program, which I think is great, kind of moves them around, helps out a lot of people. But is it a Band-Aid that's applied to the to the wound?
Well, I don't disagree with anything you said. I've
Yeah.
been attacked myself. Public safety is an issue. Crime is crime. So if they happen to be homeless, it's still a crime. I don't, to put a smiling thing, I think when you have something that's enormous like this, it's not like I'm claiming we're solving it. I'm just claiming we're addressing it everywhere we can in any way we can. And, you have to start at strategies. You have to start at philosophical viewpoints. And one of my philosophical viewpoints that I address is that homeless don't come in one type of homeless. It's varied. Some are economically distressed. Some are on drugs. Some are on mental illness. A lot of other things. Some are ill. And so, I'm not a longtime government official. I just came here to do this, but I try to do market segmentation. Then we come up with solutions that fit that particular market segment. Not that all fits all. I'm getting a lot of money from HUD, and they said you house people first, and that's a solution. And that was a Kool-Aid I didn't drink. We had one program that came around called Oahu Housing Now, which was 1-year vouchers, right? And so those 1-year vouchers weren't going to work on people that want to do drugs or are living up on Diamond Head. It just wasn't going to work. So why go do that? So I went after people that had just become homeless because of COVID, right? Families, mothers, and two. And in that program, we housed 300 families, 460 people off the street, right? The other, after 300 is all kids,
Yeah.
right? And then I followed up, and 92% of those are still housed. So that's that. Does it change what you're running into? No, and I get that. It doesn't change that. But I just have to attack at every place I can with a creative solution, that solves some of it. I mean, I'd rather have, if I had cuts all over me, I'd rather have 50 Band-Aids than trying to cover my whole body, right? I'm trying to get ourselves to the places that work. We bring up beds, that of different flavors. That's what I'm, known for saying, that we need beds of many flavors. But at the same time, when the music stops, there's not enough beds, right? So you're going to have homeless. And we have that. And so I just try to, come at it any different way I can, because if we get that person off or we get that person off, they're off. And then we're still dealing with what we're dealing with, but there we go.
Yeah. And I appreciate you. I was just addressing the problem, but I do appreciate that. So, and thank you everybody for listening to me.
John, followed by Greg.
Hi, Anton. We talk a lot outside, and I don't want to regurgitate that. You know my stance on this. I just want to reiterate to the public here that my analysis of this, 5 years here and 7 years in Miami Beach, is the underlying problem here is antisocial human behavior is causing this. It's not housing. It's drug addiction, mental health, antisocial criminal behavior. That's why they're chronically homeless. By definition, chronically homeless causes the problem. There are no solutions to this yet. We had last round of Safe and Sound, we had 49 cases of people declared unfit for trial. Mentally, they did not understand what they did wrong or the charges against them. All 49 cases were spit right back in the street. So when people talk about mental health and all this help and all that, I'm like, okay, well, I know what the numbers are, and they're all back on the street. One guy just got declared unfit for trial again for the 15th time in 2 years. So if the solution is about mental health and behavioral health, it's a complete failure. And this guy's point is what's missing in a lot of the articles and a lot of the efforts here is, what about us? All of us in here would love to have everybody housed. I think the state should be a right to housing state where anybody who wants help should get help. I have enormous sympathy for these people. But what about us? I've been attacked 3 times. I don't know how many times you've been attacked. Okay. What about the people who actually work here, visit here, people who pay taxes here? It's all the dialogue, all the emphasis is about helping the homeless, but there is no solution. The ultimate data does not show that there's an overwhelming amount of people who eventually get help. And a lot of the problem is the legislature and everybody in this state thinks everybody can be fixed. And the fact is they cannot be fixed. If they could be fixed, we wouldn't have the problem. So, Is that the opening of Honu ceremony going on? Oh. What's that? My overall point is, I agree with this guy. This stuff all sounds good. We spent, according to Civil Beat, $188 million between the state and the city in 2 years on this. And the numbers do not reflect that things are getting better. At least the numbers that were counted the most recently, it shows the numbers going up. Hopefully your efforts, I appreciate all the new efforts. Maybe they'll work. But my ultimate question is, what about us? And the legislature has to stop this nonsense about putting the homeless people first because they have these magical solutions that people can be fixed, and they can't be fixed. I want proof that they can be fixed. If you can prove that they can be fixed, quadruple my taxes. But they can't. And so it's a big misrepresentation. And what about us? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Greg, did you have something?
Thank you, John, and thank you for your continuously sending me the stats that you do, and believe me, I read them, I analyze those as well. The only thing I really want to say is I don't think there's an answer to what he said exactly, but I will say that there are a lot of cities where the person in charge of human services does not get along with the law enforcement, right? But in this city, in this county, I do. And so I try to do my work with them. That's the most I can say about what about us. I'm one of you, and I'm not homeless, so I work on it too. You know, I got generations in my house so that they'll be housed. They can't afford to have their own place as well. So, you know, we're all in this. But I do want to go on the record as saying I am very supportive of law enforcement. I think they're part of the fabric that we use to address these issues.
So first, I want to thank you for what you do because I know how difficult it is, and there's two sides of this, and I want to thank you for what you said. I used to live in San Francisco where there was a tremendous amount of homeless and violence and things like that. That's one of the reasons I live here now. But I thought I was coming to a better place. I came during COVID, and you know, I've seen a lot. That said, just to get through this as quick as I can because we're running out of time for the meeting. I commend you for what you do. I suggest that you go to the mayor's town hall on June 6th, the one that was mentioned earlier. Kapali, I think high school is, if I got the school right, but I'm planning to attend. That's a place where you'll have an opportunity to speak to the mayor for the local Waikīkī issues and actually raise this concern right to the mayor. And then I'd like to ask you before we go, what can we do as the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board to really help you? I know, again, there's two sides of this. We have to work with our legislators who aren't doing enough, I have to say that, and law enforcement. But what can we do to help you, to help more people to maybe transition and get a few more people or maybe a lot more people off the streets?
Well, thank you for those comments. I think at a couple levels. One is don't be resistant to whatever we may try. You know, the NIMBYism thing is a very difficult concept because people say, I want you to work on this, but don't work on it here. And you go, well, the problem's here. How do I do that? How's that possible? And I'm not saying all solutions should be done here because you have every community is different and it's special, and we should do things that work within the community. We are working very, very diligently with the business group, the BID, and you know, their ambassadors, and we're trying to change the narrative to be a little more enforcement rather than, you know, how you doing? You don't want services? Well, okay, well, no, you really do want services because we're not going to be here tomorrow, right? You're not going to be able to be here tomorrow. So we are trying to change that. But that'd be the one thing I'd say is have some openness to things that they're proposed to you, and analyze them with us, and then maybe we come to a decision on whether or not we would deploy that particular thing. I think safe and sound has worked well here. You know, I think, you know, we did a presentation on Honu. I think there were some concerns about Honu. On this side of the Alawai, I don't see how that could work here per se, but maybe it could, but I don't know. But right now we're not analyzing anything on either side of the Alawai for Honu. You know, we're going to analyze other things, but we do need to bring Honu into town so that our activities in town have a closer place to take people. So, but thank you for those comments.
Catherine.
So it was mentioned earlier, and it's been mentioned few meetings in a row. Here in the corner on Kapahulu, at the entrance to the Hawaii Golf House, you might know that there are a lot of tents that have sprung up, and they're just proliferating now. And so is Honu part of that area? Is the library part of that situation? Is that a permanent situation? And just to add to that, what is the enforcement doing? Because now in the middle of the night, the noise, the screaming, the yelling, the fighting that breaks out right here as they cut through behind Lokahi Canoe Club has definitely increased.
So the Diamond Head Neighborhood Board is my home board. So like NOLA, I'm the person up there. So I'm really familiar with that. You know, I thought that location would be good for Honu, but we're not analyzing it right now because of what you just said. I think there's some issues there. So what we've done is I've just put up some new signage that will allow police to do some enforcement. You know, the library contributes to it. It's interesting that, you know, that we work with the libraries a lot, but they have access to the public. They have a place for them to go to the bathroom. They have a place for them to charge their phones, you know, but the chop places that are there, the guys that doing the bike repair and that kind of thing, you know, we got to bust them up. So believe me, we discuss that section a lot in our homeless meeting. Once a week, the mayor meets. We met this afternoon. The mayor wasn't there, so I run those meetings. But we talk about that area, and Roy helps analyze those areas for us. And so I get what you're saying. We're looking at it, seeing, you know, what we can do. I know they're going to do some other construction, which may blow that off because they're going to work on the driving range and stuff. But, you know, that doesn't solve anything there, really.
Other questions? Yes.
Yeah, so just to echo everyone, I really applaud you with what you're doing because you can't solve it all, but you're trying to be part of the solution in some way. My question is, is it possible to multiply yourself? So is it possible to scale Honu? So if it just started to become on everyone's radar that there's a Honu mobile in Kapolei, there's a Honu mobile on the Alawai, there's a Honu mobile in Diamond Head. You know what I'm saying? So that in every major city or in every part where it's densely, the homeless population is densely there. Just, yeah.
We've looked at whether or not we could do a second Honu. We're not quite there yet. They're expensive to run. A 24/7 operation with security, it's quite expensive to run. So, but right now we have one. Roy's asked about getting a second one. So, you know, to your point, I think he's on the same page.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you both for taking the time to attend the meeting today. You both definitely have probably one of the most thankless jobs in Honolulu right now, tackling one of our most important issues and challenges that's been going on for years and years. So I appreciate both of you stepping up to the plate, right? And, you know, I'm glad Honu is a thing and, you know, you guys got something on the ground going. But like you said, you know, I think I'm glad you brought up those strong linkages about getting people into solutions, right? Shelter, what have you. And then you also spoke about a little bit of what's going on with some of the legal authorities you guys need and, you know, moving towards an enforcement model and whatnot. And, you know, what bills are working their way through the state legislature this session that are hopefully going to be able to give you guys expanded authorities to get more people off the streets, right? You know, unfortunately, I see it here in Waikīkī, and when I go further into downtown, is you've just got a lot of people who are clearly not capable of making a decision for themselves, tragically, and, you know, they don't know what's best for them, quite frankly. Those hard-to-reach cases where 4 comes around, from my understanding, is they can't compel people to come get treatment, to come to Honu, what have you. What authorities are coming through that hopefully will get across the finish line this session? And what's it going to take to get more enforcement authority for you guys to get people off the streets, to get them the help they need? Thank you.
Senator, I can't remember off the top of my head which bill it is that expands the MH1. But she knows they're working on that, which is to your point. I think one of the things that that will help Waikīkī a lot is in Evilay, especially since Connie Mitchell and IHS do the outreach here in Waikīkī, we're opening up 4 new shelters. So we opened up one, and it's really a world-class shelter where we use the combination of neuroscientists and architecture to help peel away the layers of trauma that someone's had while they've been homeless, so that when you house them afterwards, they can stay housed. That can hold up to 25 people. At the end of this month, we have 25 more beds opening up in Evilay. And then by the end of June, we have another 50 beds opening up there. So that's close to you. So hopefully we can get some of these folks over there. And the BHCC should start taking more people as we train HPD to do the, I love you, but you're coming with me anyway, right? Because I get it. I get it.
Just a couple quick things. My brother lives by Old Stadium Park, and he said, please come back.
Great.
They had months of quiet and
Yeah, we've been there
people
twice.
being,
That was where we started.
yeah. And right now, all around the area, it's just full of
Yeah.
middle tents. But my second question is, as the new director, how much are you in charge or coordinating between the various agencies, IHS, WBID, the health shelter over here, and all of the rest of the agencies that are all contributing to this, so that they're not bumping heads?
Thank you, Chair, for that question. That is one of my responsibilities. It's not about playing well in the sandbox. It's making sure that everyone's focused on one goal and kind of having multi-layered type of goals. I'm not sure how it was when I was away in the mainland for 35 years. But since I've gotten here, I'm seeing the state, the city and county leading in one direction because of our executives, because the mayor and because the governor. That has trickled down through all the ranks. So when you have that type of leadership, you have everyone on the same page, it forces us to look at the providers, other agencies, profit or nonprofit, to go after one goal. So that is one of my responsibilities. I'm sure that we'll see people aligned, understanding goals, and acting on those goals every day.
It's very encouraging because we've had presentations before with several agencies, and it didn't feel like they were working together. And there's an enormous amount of money going into this that I'd like to see it all be spent well. Maybe a metric of how many, like on this thing, that you serviced in a year and that sort of thing. Just
We're going to show you that we'll be working together.
you're always welcome to come back and present what's happening to us.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on our agenda, we had a bus route presentation that's been postponed. Okay, Bill 50. We erred and took it out of sequence without the proper vote. And I guess that means we have to have another vote on it. Is that what this means? So,
Yeah, but it's just for, yeah,
so since we already had one vote, do we need another motion to do that?
I believe so. So,
So,
okay, Lisa Carbonaro move. Yeah. Okay,
and do we have a second?
okay, Catherine.
Okay, so the motion is to support Bill 50 as presented at the last meeting.
Okay, when I call your name, please say yes or abstain to support Bill 50. This is just a redoing the vote, just a case. Okay, Jillian Anderson. She said yes. Robert Boyack. Yes. Catherine Lee. Oh, wait. Okay. I'm going to put you as abstain. Is that okay? Okay. Lisa Carbonaro. Okay. Yes. Shotaro Dabs.
Yes.
Okay. Louis Erdechak, I think he's left already. Yep. Okay, Robert Finley. Okay, Catherine Hensky. Daniel Jacob. Yes, okay, Ken Jacob. Ken? Oh, yes, okay. Okay, Jeff Mers. Okay, Greg Masakian.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, and Chad Schnatter. Yes, okay. Sarah Worth. No, okay. That's 10 yes, 1 no, and 2 abstain. The motion is a pass.
Next on our agenda, unfortunately, we've had some of our members who missed 3 meetings for very good reasons. I understand that Lisa has told me she wants to stay on the board. Jeff has told me that. Melissa is in the hospital tonight or on the way to the hospital with a very severe cold. So I don't want to, she wants to stay on the board as well. Shatoro, are you on there?
I'm here.
Yes. Do you wish to continue on the board?
I do, yes.
Okay. So we've asked the questions. Any issues with that? Seeing none? Fine, thank you. Okay, next we have Greg asked a question about the LOI pedestrian bridge project. You got a few minutes, Greg. Would you expand on that?
Yeah, actually, I had requested it to be on the agenda in a different way. So it's not on the way I had originally requested with the resolution posted to the shared Google Drive and part of our board packet. So seeing that we don't have the resolution that was presented in the meeting materials where the public would go and also for the board members, I know we have it handed out to us. We can't vote on it because that's a sunshine law violation. But my request also wasn't complied with, so it was put on in a different way, the way it was put on in the previous meeting. But what I'd like to do is just have give actually, if I could, Ms. Ruby an opportunity to speak, Laura Ruby, to just discuss the resolution a little bit and then get this back on agenda at the next meeting, because that's the only way we're going to be able to do this. So just take the remaining time, let Laura have the floor to just present the resolution, just so we can have a little openness of understanding what it's about, and then we'll get it on agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you. Catherine?
Chair, point of order. We have voted on this twice. And I don't understand why it's once again on our agenda in any way, shape, or form, because we have voted against it twice.
Chair, if I could respond to that. We haven't voted on this resolution. First of all, the previous resolution I had drafted, Ms. Laura Ruby had given some information to support that. I drafted the resolution. That was a long time ago. It was a year ago. We've had a lot of things happen with this project in the interim, and there's been some presentations done last November. We had DTS here last month. This is a shorter version, and it's completely done by Ms. Ruby. It's her resolution that I'm supportive of just because there's a grassroots group that's involved in trying to make sure that the laws are being followed for this project. And I'm aware of some of what's going on with this project. So based on my analysis and my understanding of what I see, this is important that the public has an opportunity to present. It's not just Ms. Ruby, it's quite a few people behind this. So could we take the rest of the time to at least let her discuss that? That might save some time at the next meeting. We're still going to have to give her an opportunity if we're going to vote. But it is on agenda. We're at it right now, and I would love to give her that chance. Thank you.
Looking at the resolution, I don't know, I haven't had a chance to confirm any of the whereases, but that it be resolved that we're asking for EIS, which is what we voted against. Is that true? That's what it says there?
If we could give her the opportunity just to present it, and we have the opportunity to amend it or modify it or change it, but With the few minutes we have left, if we could just let her speak for a few minutes, that would be great.
Do we need to take?
We did vote on this. We did.
We're
already
not
vote on
voting.
this.
We're not voting tonight. We
Then
can't
what are we
vote
listening for?
because it's on agenda and it's open for discussion. And because of the way it was put on agenda, she should have the opportunity to discuss it. It's not on the agenda to vote, actually, the way it's written. And it wasn't provided in the shared Google Drive. Just let the member of the public speak. She's got their resolution. I don't understand what the big deal is. Or I could present it. I don't see what the difference is.
I think there's a few things that just would help clarify your thinking. First of all, this is not anything that you voted on before. This is something that has been already approved by 4 neighborhood boards. And it's in the same form as it was in with their groups, and they weighed it and analyzed it and felt it was a good way to move forward. Second of all, you people didn't even blink when people said there was an EIS that was formed for putting the sand back in Waikīkī Beach. You never even had a blink about that. So you don't really have any particular concern about a full EIS, yes or no. That's just something that you want to consider. These are things that you find out about the community. It's called environmental, human.
Chair, did you give her permission to speak yet?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Chair, point of order. I mean, she started speaking, you didn't stop her, and everybody's talking over her. I mean,
Thank you, Greg. As I read
can't hear
this,
you, I'm sorry.
as I read the resolution, it specifically says EIS, which is what we voted against. But when you talk about the other neighborhood boards, there are 33. And they were all developed because each one has its own unique neighborhood.
Sure.
So I don't agree that we need to tie with any other neighborhood board. If they want to, their chairs are more than welcome to try to talk to us. We can do that.
No,
But
no, I think
they're not going to because, anyway.
the idea is that each one of those boards felt that it was sufficient to weigh in on this. And they're all, when I said a lay of community neighborhoods, that's what we all are. We all feed into Waikīkī, Alawai Canal, the major water flow areas feed in. We're concerned with both of the residential sides on both sides of the canal. We're concerned with the fact that, can you address it out loud to the group, please? So we can hear. We're extremely concerned about the.
You were not given permission to speak by the chair.
Chair, point of order, Chair, point of order.
I hear the points of order.
Chair.
I hear the emotion going on here, and we are out of time.
Chair,
Thank
point
you,
of order
everybody.
before we say
Yeah, go ahead and make
goodbye,
your
if I
point.
could. It's very rude to have people here, the board members, talking as a group, and even have another person that's not a board member come over and huddle while Miss Ruby is trying to speak. That's a decorum issue, and that needs to stop. And that's something I brought up before.
The
Thank you.
decorum issue is the fact that the lady was not given permission by the
Chair, point of order again. The member didn't even get your attention and just chimed in again. Here we go.
Everybody. We have run out of time.